let the public know that we had a special meeting and we're going to be reconvening that meeting. So we can continue that meeting after our meeting now. So let's get started with the regular meeting. Item B, which is staff recognition. I don't know who's doing this. Is this John or Jim?
I can start out. We'd like to first recognize that through an exhaustive advertisement, we did attempt to and successfully did recruit for Jim Merlot's replacement at Oyster Point as harbor master. We had 8 applicants, and out of those 8, we were able to narrow it down to the most qualified 3 that we interviewed. The interview panel unanimously chose to offer a position as harbor master Oyster Point Marina to James Smith. Commissioner Zimke, would like to thank him for participating in our interview panel. It was, again, a successful recruitment, and we're very fortunate to have had multiple of our current team members apply, and the most qualified ended up being one of our current team members, who's been the assistant harbor master at Oyster Point Marina, James Smith. Has been with the district for 25 years, and he does an excellent job at Oyster Point Marina, and we're excited that he has accepted the position and has already begun as the new harbor master at Oyster Point Marina. Secondly, we've got another regretful retirement, but Neil McGeehan has been with the district for over 18 years and has decided it's time for him to move on. Neil has been stationed at the Oyster Point Marina for most of that time and is well respected by all of our staff and the tenants. He'll be sorely missed, but we do wish him Godspeed and the best in his future endeavors.
Thank you, John. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So are there any comments from our board?
Somebody's got a noise in the background. If everybody could mute that's not speaking.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'd just say congratulations to James Smith, and thank you, Neil, for everything that you did for us for the past 18 years.
I'll echo Commissioner Matusha's sentiments. Thank you, and congratulations to our new employee, who I'm sure will be fantastic, a fantastic addition to Oyster Point.
Yeah, and I'll just say too that I did have the opportunity to participate in the interviews, and Jim Smith really did come out, did very well, and I think it's the best choice. And congratulations to him for being in that position.
And if I could just chime in, I want to say thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity, and it's an honor to be able to be the Oyster Point Marina Harbor Master.
Great.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I'd just like to say congratulations to both of you for one's coming in, one's going out, and I wish you all the best, and I look forward to working with our new harbor master.
Commissioner Ryring?
That was well said, Ed. I agree. Congratulations to both of you for completely different reasons.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item C, which is public comments. Public comment number 1, which is when now the public can comment. The public can directly comment to the Harbor Board for items that are not on the agenda. If you would like to make a public comment, this is your time to do so. I mean, I don't see any hands raised, but I just want to put it out there again. Oh, I do see one now. Melanie, do you see the hand raised for the number ending in 9711?
Yes. Lizzie?
I'm actually having a problem unmuting them.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not
Let me do
sure
it.
why.
Can you do the timer, Lizzie?
Sure can.
Okay. You should be able to speak, the person that ends in 9711.
Okay, thank you I think you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay. This is Todd Kors, and I guess I get 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Is that correct?
Minutes, Todd.
And so I'm going to take my wife is here too, so I'll take her 3 minutes. She's convened over to me. So I've been participating in many of these calls regarding the off the boat sales on multiple months, and provided my input where I suggest it was a flat fee. The decision was made to do the percentage fee, and so be it. I will certainly adhere to that. When I proposed the original flat fee, I was going to be in the top tier because I think I probably drive, almost probably the top amount of revenue for off the boat sales in the harbor. And I explained that over the course of several years here, I've had basically been attacked by the Fishermen's Association, some of the people within that, the directors, who are also two of the lessees at the end of the pier, who have been trying many forms of influence, coercion, et cetera, activities over several years that are illegal. And I've highlighted to the commission some of the case law that, supports what's legal and what's illegal. So the one thing that came to my attention this week is the new policy for off the boat sales. And I had asked Jim on several occasions, and I appreciate Jim's done a great job shepherding this stuff through. And I appreciate his openness, et cetera. But I've asked him in the past because there's been some comments from the lessees at the end of the pier attacking my business, wanting to shut down my frozen at sea sales. And I had asked Jim just 2 weeks ago, is my business at risk? And he said, no, your Alaska business is not at risk. Well, I see the new, and hopefully this is just an oversight in language and it can be adjusted. That is my request.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Korth. Your time is up.
So I'm taking my wife's.
Well, your wife has to actually be recognized to make a public comment and yield her time to you. But your time for public comment is up. So if you would like your wife to yield her time to you, she can raise her hand and.
She's on a conference call.
Well, but each person has 2 minutes. So if she's welcome to make public comment later on, but unless she's not, she must be recognized as a public commenter and she must yield her time to you.
Okay. Well, I sent a letter to Jim, and this is a very serious matter. So Paul.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands raised. Are there any other hands raised that you see, Melanie or Lizzie?
No, I don't see any other hands raised.
Great. Then I will close public comment and then let's go to the consent calendar. Is there a motion to, or would anyone like to pull off anything from consent?
Yeah. Yes, I would. The number 4, the monthly capital project updates.
Okay.
Just to give John a heads up, I'm just interested in your yellow marking so that since it is the last meeting of the year, it'd be nice to just run through some of those because there's some nice pieces in there for the public.
Okay, well then so we'll remove number 4. Is there a motion to approve the consent for items 1, 2, 3, and 5?
So moved.
Well, I'll second them.
Okay, so moved by Commissioner Wiring, seconded by Commissioner Zimke. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please, Melanie.
You should see
Commissioner Ryrie.
Oh, sorry, Tricia.
if there's public comment about the consent calendar.
Sorry. Yes, I don't see. If anyone would like to make public comment about the consent calendar, please raise your hand. I don't see any hands raised, so let's do the roll call, please. Thank you, Tricia.
Commissioner Ryring,
Aye.
Commissioner Matoush,
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz.
I, with the exception of, I was not at the meeting, so I can't really vote on it.
Commissioner Chang Karali.
Aye. So that motion carries. And then we'll come back, circle back to your pulled item, Ed, after we get through the regular business. So let's go to our regular discussion part of the agenda, item 6, which is the water bottle refill station at Pillar Point Harbor. I think this is a very fun, this will be a fun report. John Moran, would you like to kick this off?
Yes, this is a motion to authorize the general manager to purchase a professionally manufactured water bottle fill station and hire district plumbing contractor to install it at the public restrooms near the harbor master's office at Pillar Point Harbor for an amount not to exceed $15,000. A young person working to complete a Girl Scouts Silver Award Community Services project brought to our attention that the public and the environment would benefit from a water bottle fill station being installed at the Pillar Point Harbor public restroom building near the Pillar Point Harbor Master's office. Water bottle fill stations have many benefits. They dramatically reduce the use of single-use plastic bottles, which contribute significantly to pollution. The bottle fill stations also encourage hydration and promote use of reusable containers, which reduce overall waste. The Young Scout has offered to try and assist with the costs for the purchase and installation through outreach and potentially a GoFundMe page. However, staff believes this is a worthwhile project for the district to consider funding in its entirety. Because the district recognizes the value to the community and the environment of water bottle fill stations, the district is already in the process of installing another water bottle fill station in conjunction with the ongoing RV Park, Surfers Beach, ADA restroom and green space project. But this station is over 400 meters from the proposed new site. Staff believes the cost for purchase and installation to be under $10,000, but would like the board to consider approving an amount not to exceed $15,000 to cover unanticipated contingencies at the installation site, just in case there's some sort of, when the installation begins, just in case we've got some sort of structural challenges that makes the costs increase. Again, I believe that the $15,000 would definitely cover it, but I think the costs are going to be somewhere under $10,000 in reality. I believe we have Amaya, the Young Scout, here to give us a little presentation. We got Amaya on, Melanie?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Welcome.
Okay. Hi.
Amaya, is it Amia?
Yeah, Amia.
Amia, welcome to our Harbor District meeting, Harbor Board meeting.
Did I share my screen? Or can someone else?
Yes, you should be able to share your screen.
Okay.
Perfect, we can see it.
Is it working right now?
Yes.
Yep, looks great.
Okay, hold on. I need to. There we go. Okay. So, hello, my name is Ami Iqbal. I live right here in El Granada and I'm in 8th grade. I'm homeschooled. And right now I'm working on my Girl Scout Silver Award, which is an award Girl Scouts receive for implementing a sustainable solution for their community. So while exploring El Granada, I have noticed there are not many water fountains and no way to refill our water bottles like most cities have. So my ongoing project is about saving the oceans and beaches of Half Moon Bay and El Granada by reducing plastic waste. And this can be done by installing a water bottle refill station, According to The Guardian, 60% of wildlife have gone down since 1970. So having a refillable water bottle station will keep plastic out of our ocean and ultimately help keep more wildlife alive. And this idea has been done all over the world and helped many ecosystems stay at their best. One plastic bottle takes around 450 years to decompose, so having something like this around will help a lot. I even did some more research to go more in depth and prove this, and I will show you my findings in the next slides. So I think the best location for this filling station would be at the public bathroom at Johnson Pier. I live very close to this area and can take a walk right down to it. And every time I go there are tons of people, including both locals and tourists. There are plenty of restaurants around it, and it's a very convenient location for fishermen. So the reason I think installing a water bottle refill station at or near a bathroom is because people expect water fountains to be nearby bathrooms, and there's already available plumbing, which will make the station easier to install. If there was no building with plumbing available, we would need to buy a self-standing station, which is much more expensive. So overall, I think a bathroom is the best choice for a location. There are many benefits of having a refillable water bottle station. The water is much cleaner than that of bottled water, despite what most people believe, because it's gone through less processing. It also encourages hydration and reduces people spending money on water to drink. And of course, refillable water bottle stations help the environment by reducing carbon footprint and reducing plastic bottles that end up in oceans and negatively affect wildlife. So I did some research showing that refillable water bottle stations really work. According to MDPI, studies have found that over 3 billion beverage containers are used each year and are the third most littered item in 2018 in the International Coastal Cleanup. A specific study was done in Queensland, Australia, to measure the success of water bottle refill stations, reducing single-use plastic bottle litter. In one of their studies, it was concluded that a total of 775 plastic bottles were observed to be littered before, and 592 plastic bottles were observed after the installation of a water bottle refill station. An additional study was done and conducted by the University of Chicago. The research found that more than 4.6 million plastic bottles were saved annually just from the 102 filling stations installed throughout the campus. So about the estimated costs. The exact amount of money has not been determined yet, but costs will include hiring a local plumbing company, buying the product, and maybe filing permits with the city. The Half Moon Bay community has suggested I create a GoFundMe account. It would be ideal if the Harbor District could fund this project, as I do not currently have a funding source, but I do plan to contribute from the profit of my small jewelry business called Granada Gems to pay for as much as I can. And so far, I have earned $160 from this business to help fund this project, and I continue to earn more. So this is the possible location for the water bottle refill station. I'll have to figure out if there's proper plumbing in the spot that I picked, which is on the picture on the right. And if not, you most likely know of the small fish washing station in the corner of the platform, which may be able to work as well, or maybe another location on the bathroom site. So here are the best options I found for water bottle filling stations. I do prefer the LK station as it's cheaper, has a water fountain as well as filling station, and has a bottle counter, which will help measure the effectiveness and encourage the community to use it more. I have links to the website I found these stations on if you would like me to attach that in an email. So for my Girl Scout project, I plan to talk to local beach cleanup organizations to see how many plastic bottles are picking up off the beaches before and after the refill station has been installed. I have already made contact with Shell Cleave, the founder of Sea Hugger, and Surfrider. Both of these are nonprofit beach cleanup organizations who are willing to help me with this project. And as I said before, the LK refillable water bottle station has a counter for how many times it's used. This can also help me measure the effectiveness. So I asked the Harbor District to approve and proceed with this proposal. We can help keep us all hydrated while preventing plastic waste from littering our oceans. Once you approve these plans, we can work on finalizing the location and secure funding to purchase and install the water refill stations. So that's all I have. I look forward to seeing this project come into fruition with the help of the Harbor District. Thank you for this opportunity to share my project proposal.
Thank you, Amia. That was a great presentation. I will open it up to discussion by the Harbor Board of Commissioners.
Yeah, Mia, I want to congratulate you on that presentation. It was very well done. And I was impressed with the research that you cited and reported to us. I wonder if there are also opportunities to get funds from the city of Half Moon Bay.
Yeah, I do have some contacts from that city, so I can maybe ask them about that.
Perhaps the Harbor District, I'm going to guess that this gets approved, so perhaps we could also send a letter as well.
To the city of Half Moon Bay, Commissioner Matoush, or what?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Lorenas?
Well, I have quite a bit to say about this. First of all, thank you for reminding us to do this. Hang our heads low, and for not thinking of putting a water bottle fill station at the pier. It's a brilliant idea. And John and staff, I very much appreciate the fact that we're putting one down over by Surfers Beach. Bottled water is one of the greatest cons perpetrated on the public by commercial industry. And as you know, because you brought it to us, it causes environmental havoc, and it costs a lot of money, and it also harms communities where the water is being taken. There's a whole lot to say about that, which I won't go into. I will tell you this. Surfrider San Mateo has a water quality testing lab. We were doing a study in one of our local creeks, and our volunteers came back, and I had asked them to take bottled water as a negative control. So they went off into the field, collected the samples, did the test, and the negative control came up positive. So my thought was, oh, they just switched the samples. So sent them back out. They went back out, came back, negative control was positive. So the bottled water that they had purchased, the bottled water that you and I may drink every once in a while, was actually more contaminated with gut bacteria than the creek we were sampling. And so there's an example where bottled water was nastier than the public would ever think. So thank you for that, and I very much appreciate it, and congratulations, and wish you well in all your studies.
Very good. I'll add my congratulations to that. I think this was a great presentation and a great idea. And why didn't we think of this sooner?
Commissioner Ryring?
I already spoke.
Oh, sorry. So I have a couple comments. Amia, first of all, thank you so much, and congratulations on getting so far, that you're doing a silver award. I think it's fantastic. I actually helped another Girl Scout when she was in 8th grade doing her silver award. And this is for deploying the Pulse Point app throughout San Mateo County, which is, a life-saving tool. So I wanted to just ask you a quick question regarding the funding piece to this. I know you had your presentation, which was fantastic, by the way, had the cost for certain things. I'm trying to get back to your PowerPoint presentation. I see that these costs for these water refilling stations are here. And John, maybe you can help me chime in here for the $15,000. And I think I may have missed. I'm just wondering if there's any way that, I guess my question is, in terms of fundraising, where are you with some of this? I may have missed that. Not John or Amia, somebody. Because I think that part of the silver award is dealing with fundraising as well, if I remember correctly. at least when I helped another Girl Scout do her silver award project.
I could chime in real quick and just say that the district, if the board directs us to move forward with this project, will work closely with AMIA, and we will assist her in with contact information, et cetera, in efforts to bring in more community support to help with the funding, including talking with our contacts at Half Moon Bay, per se, and with AMIA's, bringing this gang to, to our attention that at present we don't have any within the Pillar Point Harbor area, even though we are again implementing with new projects, because we already saw the value of these water bottle fill stations. We will assist AMIA and discuss with her participation in helping to cover some of the costs, even from her own private jewelry business. I just wanted to ensure that the district board is in alliance with us moving forward with the project, and the dollar value that I presented of $15,000, I believe to be well over what it will actually cost, but I didn't want to have to come back to the board or the project be delayed, because as we find the best site, which we'll probably take a plumbing contractor, our plumbing contractor, to come out, look and see where the best site is. And then once they start digging into the project, removing material, it's possible that the best site might need some improvements that might have been necessary anyway. Some areas of wood rot, et cetera, that we might have had to repair anyway, but needs to be done in order to complete this project. I don't anticipate that, but again, just wanted to ensure that we had approval from the board to move forward with the project and wouldn't have to come back to the board, for approval that we already know would occur.
I was just thinking of the dollar amount, John. I mean, you're asking for a $15,000 approval, and so I don't know if that's the amount that has to be raised. Or, could we approve 50% of that and have the other 50% be raised by AMIA and we pay for the 50%, like $7,500 outright for that? I don't know. And that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, at present, as AMIA suggested, she does not have any funding secured for sure, other than the $160 that she's been able to raise thus far. And I don't know that we want to delay the project in the event that it might take several months potentially to secure funding elsewhere. So my suggestion was just that we would approve not to exceed amount of $15,000, but of course, price out and get the best deal on the best water fill station that meets our district needs. It may be that our contractor makes a suggestion for maybe even a little bit better water bottle fill station that could meet our needs even more, maybe a dual water bottle fill station. I just don't know at present because we've just not done the research yet. And right now, AMIA has come up with a couple examples that she's costed out, which come under $3,000 with shipping, et cetera, with the potential with everything, cost of everything rising right now. It's possible that the one we choose with shipping taxes, et cetera, could be closer to $5,000. Then contractors are not inexpensive either. So I still would anticipate the project coming in at under $10,000 if the district were to, if the board were to approve us funding it in its entirety.
Right, but my understanding is that part of the silver award is for the Girl Scout to do some fundraising. That's having helped with a Girl Scout Silver Award project.
I have a comment about this.
Can I finish, please, Ed?
Sure, finish.
So that's what I'm trying to get. I understand what the project is. I think it's a great project, but I want to make sure that the spirit of the Girl Scout Silver Award is, done in compliance with what they're supposed to do. And I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. I'm just trying to understand the funding of this. And I think it's great that we're doing this, but, it's easy. I just think that that's part of the project. So I'm just trying to understand that piece. I'm not against this project, Ed. Okay. I just
have a comment.
Okay. Well, my concern is that I believe this is part of the Girl Scout Silver Award project is the actual fundraising. And if that's the case, then, why should all the tax dollars be spent on this when this is not part of the project? That's not part of the project. And I'm just trying to understand the fundraising. If that's what the board wants to do, it's just 100% fund this, that's fine. I just want to make sure that we're doing this in compliance with the spirit of the Silver Award. So please, Commissioner Lorenas.
May I comment now?
Yes.
Thank you. So John, I think you've done a great job putting this together, and it's clear to me that if we offer you the opportunity to work with our brilliant student, that you'll find a way where she can comply with the responsibilities that have put on her. And I think as a manager for this project, you'll do fine to make sure that we don't place an undue burden on her, and we'll get this done. So I have full confidence that you know what's going on and you'll get it done right. So I'm all for it. And again, to you, Amaya, you've done a great job, and don't just finish this project and then go away and do your things. Keep an eye on us, make sure that we do things right. And if you have other suggestions like this, come to our board meeting, sign up for a public comment, and have at it. We really appreciate it. So thank you.
Commissioner Mateusz, I thought that you had your hand up.
Yes, a couple things. Amia, I'm totally supportive of this project. Ed, I absolutely share. I can't stand the plastic bottle thing here and around the world. I've been in the Mediterranean where you'd see acres and acres of bottles floating, and it's like people don't care there. So that part's, you and I are on the same page on that one, definitely. There's a lot about fundraising for this project I don't know. I don't know if a GoFundMe counts the same way. I think Amia could get back to us at some future day about that. There was also a chat comment asking about commenting on this. And then the other thing is I was very taken back by the 60% wildlife reduction. And the Guardian took that from World Wildlife Foundation. It's a very controversial manipulation of figures. So on one hand, it's attention grabbing. It certainly got mine, but different organizations from the Atlantic to National Geographic have said that that's not exactly true. So that's my observation.
Could you let people know when they're going to do public comments? Because there are some questions.
Yeah, I see it. I see that. Yeah, I will. I'll open it up for public comment. And so thank you for your patience, Ms. Williams. I just wanted to take commissioner comments first. So Commissioner Ryring, did you have any comments again in response to what we're discussing? If not, then I'll open it up. Or Commissioner Zemke?
No, I had no further comments. I agree with Ed that, if we just put this in Jim's hands, he can handle it appropriately.
Okay, I see I'll take public comment on this item, and I do see a hand raised from Kimberly Williams. And she actually in the chat says that she might have some information that might answer my question. So Kimberly, you're on. Thank you for being here.
Hi, commissioners. Thank you. I'd just like to say that San Mateo County Surfrider congratulates AMIA and our local Girl Scouts on this initiative and their persistence on this and other projects to reduce single-use plastics. And we also thank the Harbor District for being supportive of this project, and we encourage you to approve the project. In regard to Commissioner Chankarali's question, AMIA and her fellow Girl Scouts did approach Surfrider Foundation to raise funds and also ask for volunteer support for this project and another project. And we are prepared to contribute some amount to the project if, you know, in terms of her fundraising requirement. I think that does satisfy some of that, and we're happy to contribute some amount to this project. So I hope that's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? This is your time. If you would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand. Okay. I'm going to close public comment for this item. Is there, is there a motion to approve this? Because we can still discuss it after there's a motion in a second.
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner Mateusz. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded.
Okay, seconded by Commissioner Lorenas. Okay, any further discussion?
I have a question.
I'd just like to say, Commissioner President Karali, that I fully understand exactly the point that you brought up. And of course, we want to support AMIA's requirements as they may be with regard to the fundraising. And I think that the community would relish the opportunity to participate. So I think it's very important that we do give everybody the opportunity to participate. Again, my thoughts are that first, we wanted to, of course, ensure that we had direction from our board to move forward with this project at some cost to the district. But I'll be working closely with AMIA to meet and fulfill the needs of her award, and working with the community to let anybody that wishes to participate do so, whether that be initially, because we do want to move forward with the project, not be delayed, but it is also possible that we may work out some reimbursement, you know, if it takes some time for, if we're able to move forward, but it takes time for funding to become available. And this is a water bottle fill station that is on district property. And I, again, would like to commend Mia for bringing this to our attention. The district has already, as I said before, recognized the value of these water bottle fill stations. So it's not like we're, you know, we've got our head in the sand, and we are implementing them in a current project at present and in all future projects. But it's great that, and it shows the importance of community involvement. AMIA bringing this to our attention that we should act now is prompting this discussion. So it's very appreciative of AMIA, and we appreciate all public ideas. And I, for one, also appreciate the board's board support in this.
Thank you, John. Commissioner Lorenas, I think you had a comment as well.
Oh, I just had a question. John, do you know if these fill stations do water filtration, like carbon filters or anything like that, or is this just plumbing?
Yes, as AMIA said, these are do ensure that the water is actually cleaner than the water bottles. So yes, we'll ensure that they are very filtered, and it's very, very clean water as it comes out of the water fill station.
And I just have one last last comment. One thing to consider is getting a little poster or plaque that can go near these stations with some information about why the public should actually use this, and point out that this water is filtered, because most people would prefer filtered water. It might encourage folks to actually use it.
Understood, Commissioner Arenas, and appreciate all your input and all the commissioners' input and support. I've also been thinking that the one that we are currently planning for the ongoing project out by Surfers Beach at the new restroom and green space also has a dog water area. So
yeah,
we're going to have to look at all of our options, and we appreciate the support of the board to give us some leeway in the funding to ensure that we end up with the best water fill station that we can come up with.
Great, thank you. I think it's a great project too. I just wanted to put the funding thing out there, but there is a motion in a second. So why don't we do a roll call unless there's any more discussion by the commissioners? Okay, so why don't you do a roll call, please, Melanie?
Commissioner Mateusz?
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke?
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz?
Aye.
Commissioner Chang Corrali?
Aye.
Commissioner Ryrie?
Aye.
So that motion carries. Thank you so much, Amia, and good luck. We're all rooting for you. Thanks for bringing such a great project before us.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
So I wanted to hold on for 1 second. Let me try to get my screens up so that I can get on the same page. So I wanted to move around the agenda a little bit. So Melanie, could you just take this down? We have item 6, 7, 8, which I've got on here. And then I wanted to move up item 14 right behind item 8. And then we'll move item 12. After number 14, I'd like to move item 12 up behind 14, then 13, 10, 11, 9, and 15. So I can help kind of steady this, if you will. So let's go to item 7, which is California Consulting Grant Writing Services Contract Renewal. And it sounds like John Moran, you'll be kicking off this presentation or staff report.
Yes, thank you, President Crowley. This is a motion to authorize the general manager to renew a contract with California Consulting for $4,160 per month, plus out-of-pocket expenses not to exceed $50,000 for the year 2022, as was previously approved for 2020 and 2021, to continue efforts to identify and apply for available grants applicable to approved capital improvement projects. The board will continue to be updated on a monthly grant activity, and the relationship can be terminated at any time during the year should the district decide to do so. In a continued effort to provide tenants, commercial fishers, tourists, and the general public with excellent facilities, the district has an aggressive ongoing capital improvement project plan. To ensure the district is taking advantage of all available grant opportunities to help fund the projects, the district has enlisted the assistance of a professional grant consultant, California Consulting. California Consulting is the largest grant writing firm in California and have been successful in writing thousands of grant applications, securing over $1.5 billion in funding for agencies throughout the state since their founding in 2004. They have extensive contacts and experience in identifying, researching, and obtaining grant funding for all types of government entities. California Consulting is comprised of 26 team members and provides services to 80 public agencies across the state. The district first entered into an agreement with California Consulting for grant writing services in December 2019. The compensation terms of the contract amounted to $4,160 per month for the years 2020 and 2021. There is no proposed increase for 2022. Since January 2020, California Consulting has been researching and applying for grant opportunities, assisting with the post-grant award management, analyzing existing unfounded projects to determine the best strategies for funding, providing guidance for FEMA public assistance funding requests during the COVID pandemic, and serving as a liaison between the district and state federal agencies. They have provided the district with thorough monthly grant reports that includes updates on grant application progress, as well as monthly update meetings with the district director of operations. Despite the continued challenges with COVID-19 pandemic, which has in fact slowed all of the grant processing, California Consultant has made considerable progress. They've been able to identify and submit multiple grant applications on behalf of the district with several agencies, including the Bay Area Council, National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, Cal OES, California Department of Natural Resources, California Coastal Conservancy, Ocean Protection Council, Fish and Wildlife Service, FEMA, and California Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Project. Most recently, we have been successful in obtaining a $212,000 Coastal Conservancy grant to help with costs associated with the RV Park Surfers Beach ADA Restroom and Green Space Project. California Consulting currently has active grant applications being considered for multiple district projects, including the West Trail Living Shoreline Project, Surfers Beach Shoreline Protection Project, and the Johnson Pier Expansion Dock Replacement Project. They've continued to display initiative by working closely with our design engineering consultants in tracking the progress of previously submitted grants and identifying, researching for future grant opportunities for all district projects.
Can y'all hear me? John, are you done? Okay. So I'm going to open this up for, well, first of all, I guess the recommended motion is to authorize the general manager to renew a contract with California Consulting for $4,160 per month plus out-of-pocket expenses. So, et cetera, not to exceed $50,000 for 2022. Is there a motion to approve that? And then we can open it up for discussion.
I will so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion by the commissioners? Commissioner Lorenas, it looks like you looked ponderous. So I wanted to make sure that you had a chance to comment if you had any comments.
Yeah, I do have some comments. And maybe by way of questions too. I think this is an important thing for us to do, is to have consultants doing some grant writing for us. What I'm not clear on is the level of success they've had with the grants that they've writing, that they have. I know that that the one grant that we did receive from the Coastal Conservancy, I'm not exactly sure how to phrase this, I'm being a little bit careful, is that Coastal Conservancy has been very interested in the work that we've been doing. And I think it was, as far as a grant writing proposal and pushing something like this through, was a relatively low bar for them. And then I haven't seen any, and this may be because I don't understand everything that's been going on with this. I haven't seen any other grant writing proposals that were sent out that came back that were positive coming from this firm. And so maybe, John, you could correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yes, we've not, regretfully, we've not been successful on many of the grant opportunities that we've applied for. However, I've seen firsthand, in addition to all the communication I've had with our actual design engineering consultants, including Brad Damitz for Surfers Beach, who's been working closely with Jamie, our representative with California Consulting. All of their attempts in applying for multiple grant opportunities for that project and most of our other projects. And even though we've not yet been as successful as we'd like, the fact is that all of these grants are very competitive. And it's not unusual, regretfully, to be unsuccessful in your first, second, or third attempt. But each attempt allows us to refine our future attempts the following year for the same grant opportunity. And I must say, I've seen in meetings I have observed firsthand the relationships that California consulting team, including Steve Semillian, who's actually on in this meeting with us today to answer questions that the commission may have, is in-depth knowledge and their team's in-depth knowledge and personal contacts that they have with all of the grant representatives, the grantors, I think is in fact very beneficial for the district to make us, I guess, as competitive as is possible. So not only is it beneficial to the district to have California consultants identifying potential grants, but I've also seen many times when yourself, Commissioner Lorenas, and other commissioners have brought forward grants that they've been made aware of, which I've been able to pass on to California Consulting, who have been able to actually talk to the grantor representatives and determine whether or not for us, if those grants are actually applicable. And if so, they then, after confirming they're applicable, be able to use their contacts to ensure that the grants that the grant applications that they write on our behalf are as competitive as is possible. So even though we've not been as successful as we'd like, but from my perspective, as California Consulting continues to work with us, if in fact, just as they've helped us become successful with this $212,000 grant, if they're able to help us with one significant win that we might not have gotten had we not had our relationship, that one win could be worth over $1.5 million. So while the $41.60 per month is not an insignificant number, I think it does benefit the district to do as many other public entities do and continue a relationship with a professional grant writing service that can help us identify potential grants for our projects and use their professional abilities to work with our design engineering consultants and continue to apply for those grants. Even if we're not successful in the first 3 or 4 times, regretfully, we have to continue that effort in order to finally become successful.
Thank you, John. That's very helpful. It's kind of what I was looking for. Thank you.
Commissioner Mateusz, you're unmuted. I don't know if you had a comment to make as well.
I agreed with Commissioner Lorenas. I know this is a competitive environment. We're spending $50,000 a year. We got a $212,000 grant. I know they're working on other things, but I'm just hoping that they're learning from the other groups that they help consult for and find out how can we get more successful with our organization in winning some of these.
Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Zimke, Commissioner Reiering?
I support this. I have no other comments.
Commissioner Ryring? You're on mute.
I've been involved with grant writers at nonprofits and other agencies before, and it does seem like it's tough to justify the expense, but California Consulting is, I believe, the premier grant writer in the state, and they find grants that we just cannot. And as soon as you get one funded, the concerns over the cost disappear.
Thank you. I thought that I saw a public comment hand. I'll open this item up to public comment now. And it looked like Crystalline's hand was up, but your hand is no longer up, Crystalline. But if you'd like to make a public comment, please let us know by raising your hand.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr. Similian.
Hi, how are you, Madam Chair? Commissioners, thank you for having me. My name is Steve Samuelian. I'm the owner of California Consulting, and it's been an honor to be working with John and your team. You have an exceptional team at the district, and even from your designers and engineers and subcontractors. I do want to give a very brief, quick update. John did a thorough, comprehensive report, but there are a few items that I wanted to add and just supplement, if that's okay with you, Madam Chair.
Absolutely, please go ahead.
And it's all good news. So, so we did submit the HMGP Hazard Mitigation Grant Program application to FEMA through the California Office of Emergency Services. We submitted that for $75,000 for emergency generators, and that was a letter of intent. And the way that process works is once you send in the LOI, if they like it, they invite you to apply for the full application. So they notified us, I think, John, was about a week ago, maybe 10 days ago, that they did like the project. They approved the letter of intent, and they've invited us to submit the full application, which we will be submitting March the 10th, and that's for $75,000 for emergency generators. I never use the word guarantee in the grant writing world, but it's highly unlikely that you get invited to apply for HMGP and then don't receive the funding. We have a lot of experience with it, and Cal OES invites you to apply. There's a reason they're inviting. So obviously they like the project. So that was really good news. The second update I'd like to give is the Urban and Multi-Benefit Drought Relief Grant Program that we worked with Noah Katz on. We have an $8 million request in right now for a large-scale stormwater capture project at two of the district parking lots for $8 million. We have not heard back on that yet, but we're hopeful. There's no match on that grant. We wrote a very highly competitive application. John helped us, your staff helped us. It's a team effort. Grant writing is definitely collaborative, as you all know. We never try to take the credit and say, we did this all on our own. It's definitely collaborative, but we're waiting to hear back on that $8 million request through the Urban and Multi-Benefit Drought Relief Program. The next update I'd like to give is EDA, the Economic Development Administration. We wrote a $150,000 application for design for Johnson Pier. The total request is $7 million, but the way EDA works is first they approve the design phase, and then if you get the design phase approved, then they approve the construction phase. So we had several conference calls and Zooms with them. John participated in them, did a great job. We explained the project to EDA, and they liked it enough that they invited us to apply for the $150,000 for the design. It's a very good sign. Again, it's not a guarantee, but very positive that they said, apply. We like the project. We'd like to fund the design. So we applied for the $150,000. That was just recently submitted. John, I want to say that was in the last 10 days. So we should hear back soon. Usually EDA replies in about 30 days. So we should hear back soon. If we get the $150 for the design, obviously that opens us up towards the $7 million for the for the construction. The next one I want to mention is the NFWF Emergency Coastal Resiliency Fund grant, which John referred to early, National Wildlife Foundation, and we're applying for $1 million for that grant. That is for Surfers Beach for restoration, and that's due on February 3rd, 2022. The application is almost done. We will have it done in plenty of time to meet the February 3rd deadline. Probably going to ask for just over $1 million on that one. The next update I'd like to give is the Division of Boating and Waterways grant. I believe you're all familiar with that one. That's a $1.5 million request for the pump out station. We submitted it and we heard back from them, and it was good. We heard back from them that they'd like us to revise the budget, rework the budget numbers, and resubmit it to them. So whenever an agency says that, again, we've done this 18 years, that's positive. So we're looking at the numbers, we're sharpening our pencil, we're working with your team. We may have to lower the 1.5 a little bit, but hopefully not too much. But we will be submitting that prior to December 31st when they've asked us to resubmit it. So that's a good sign. And then the very last one I want to mention is the COVID-19 FEMA Public Assistance Grant. We submitted for $25,851 to reimburse the district for some of your COVID expenses. And as John knows, we've been preliminarily approved for that. So we should receive that. 25,851 is the exact figure. We should receive that shortly. So that's the update. We send this update to John once a month when we have our monthly call. But we have a tremendous amount of activity going on for the district right now. A lot of grant applications and good news. And we expect to hear back on some of these very, very, very shortly. So thank you, Madam Chair and commissioners. And I'm here. I'm happy to take questions or just listen in.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I see Commissioner Mateusz's hand is up. So Commissioner Mateusz, do you have any questions of is it Samuelian?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, regarding the Cal OES generator thing for the hazard mitigation, one of the things we modified the hazard mitigation plan that was submitted.
Look into relative to going forward. So Eddie, have you been doing that for us? I hope.
Somebody needs to mute their phone.
So anyway, we modified our hazard mitigation submission to include solar with the generators. Is there a way to modify our application to Cal OES? Would that be a separate application for solar? Or would we be risking even the generators if we even annoyed anybody with another request?
We definitely could submit a second HMGP. There's no limitation on how many HMGP applications we submit. So we could definitely submit a second one. This one, we're expecting will be approved. Basically, like I said, we don't guarantee grants, but they've already approved it because they asked us to apply for it. I should have mentioned that your team did an excellent job with the revisions and updates to your local hazard plan. And it wouldn't have been possible for us to apply for this HMGP grant if they hadn't done that. So Hetty and the whole team at the district have been right on top of that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Lorenas, you have your hand up.
Yes, thanks. Steve, thank you for being here. Appreciate you taking the time. And just to be clear for everyone, I think we do need to have a firm like yours here. And John, you did a great job of answering my questions. You mentioned Noah Katz. That was in conjunction with Resource Conservation District?
Yes, that's on the urban and multi-benefit drought relief program, the big $8 million one that we submitted.
Okay. Just I wanted to make that clear for our public. They don't know who that is necessarily.
Yes, very helpful to us. So thanks to him.
Good to hear. And it's, we have a long history of working with the Resource Conservation District. So it's good to see that they're working with us still.
And an $8 million request with no match is not something we often see. So
Right.
we're
They're a great organization, so
yeah,
it's good to see them as a partner.
And I'll just say I'd just like to say real quick that our general manager deserves some credit for initiating that project. And we're working hard and hope to be bringing more information about it to the board in the near future. And Lizzie Drosky is the one that actually assisted the district greatly as a team member to move forward the hazard mitigation plan, which was required for us to join with the county in making these other grants available for us.
Okay, any other commissioner comments? I do see Chris Lynn's hand up for a public comment. So why don't I take public comment from Chris Lynn of the Half Moon Bay Coastside Chamber of Commerce. Chris Lynn, thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you very much. You know, as a Chamber of Commerce, I work with a lot of organizations, and I do know of a couple of organizations that are doing work with this firm. And I just got to be totally honest, I don't hear the best of things. And now in this report, I'm hearing that a lot of the grants go unsuccessful, and you know, potentially some are coming, and that's great. But if you're going to be paying a monthly cost, it might be worth looking into other firms. And again, I'm just going off of the reputation based off of what I hear locally. But if the harbor is going to spend $50,000 annually or $4,000 monthly, we definitely want that resource used as best as possible. And this would not instill confidence in me based off of the things that I've heard both in this report as well as out in the world. So I just wanted to relay that as, you know, a partner organization with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other public comment? Okay, Commissioner Lorenas, you still have your hand up. Did you want to make another comment, or have you just not had a chance to put your hand down yet? Okay, I guess that answers my question. So there is a motion and a second on the table. So if there's no more discussion by the commission, why don't we do a roll call vote?
Commissioner Zemke?
I think you're muted. Or he's frozen.
Sorry about that. Yes, I was muted.
Oh, Commissioner.
Yes.
Commissioner Lorenas.
Aye.
Commissioner Jane Corrali.
Aye.
Commissioner Ryring.
Aye.
Commissioner Mateusz.
Aye.
So that motion carries. Thank you. And now we'll move on to item 8, which is the Coastside Recovery Initiative presentation. I know that Karen Decker is here. I don't see Erica here, but maybe she's here somewhere.
Erica's with us too.
Okay. Hi, Karen and Erica. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. I'm excited to hear your presentation or see your presentation. So if you would like to do that, this would be the time to make your presentation. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, President Jane Corrali. And good afternoon, commissioners and community members. My name is Karen Decker. I'm a senior management analyst for the city of Half Moon Bay, and I'm also the project manager for the Coastside Recovery Initiative. I'm joined by the city's economic development consultant and my partner on this journey, Erica Wood. And we are excited to be back and share this update, which features some of the recommendations that represent the conclusion of the planning phase for the Coastside Recovery Initiative. And it's also the culmination of many months of hard work by our task force. So thank you for having us. And if you'll just bear with me a moment, I will go ahead and cue up the presentation. Okay, and can I get a thumbs up if you're able to see the presentation? Great. Okay, and if you'll just bear with me a moment, I don't see the slides advancing, and I just want to make sure that you all do as well.
Yes, we see them advancing.
Okay, great. Okay, so without further ado, these are the two project goals that are really the aspiration for this work. If we hope to help businesses recover from the economic impacts of COVID, we first need to understand what those needs are and then learn what businesses are going through. So a lot of this first year has been about identifying gaps and about fact finding and double checking our assumptions. Just regarding the second bullet, I'd like to elaborate on what we mean by equitable. I know that term is used a lot, and we know that the pandemic devastated tourism and hospitality and restaurants and small businesses, which are the same industries that make up a large part of the coastside economy. But on an individual and family level, COVID plunged those who were already vulnerable into crisis mode. So amid these realities, the regional cost of living is nearly 80% higher than the US average. So if we hope to be a vibrant and a resilient coastside economy that's well prepared for the shocks that we frankly know are coming, we need to ensure that we have an economy that works for everybody. Okay, great. In terms of our guiding principles, all of these principles surfaced and they resurfaced throughout the work. Some helped inform project decisions, like how we designed the application for the task force. Other principles came up because of opportunities that frankly we just couldn't have foreseen at the beginning of the project. One example is the Our Voice pilot with the Stanford Prevention Research Center, which brought innovation. Or I hope some of you were able to attend the Make It Main Street series. That was the vision of Erin Tormey and her talented crew, which made for more immediate wins. So all that to say that these principles were not just something that were accounted for and checked off on a list, but they were visited and they were revisited to bring integrity to this process. Here you see an overview of our process. So the kickoff started with our open house back in February, and then the establishment of the brand and the task force. And then there were multiple sources of data like key informant interviews and focus groups, county survey and learning tours, one of which was graciously provided by you and your team at the harbor. And then of course the recommendations themselves. So at the open house back in February, our keynote speaker, Lenny Mendonca, the former chief economic and business advisor to the governor, spoke about why it was an ideal time to plan for recovery. And he also spoke about best practices and said the most successful economic development efforts are those which are community driven, they're anchored to data, they take into consideration regional connections while not losing sight of local needs, and they are appropriately ambitious in our role of getting to the next economy. So I share all that to say that we took the advice of subject matter experts like Lenny to heart, and we were intentional in rooting our process in best practices. This is our lovely task force. It's a diverse group. I'm proud to say that about 30% of the representation is from the Mid-Coast area. And the task force really gave us a multi-dimensional view of our challenges that exist here on the coast, as well as our opportunities and our assets. So their expertise represents a wide range of sectors. You'll see agriculture represented, you'll see law, nonprofit leadership, media, commercial real estate, sustainability and ecology, venture capital, planning commission experience, small business, education, hospitality. So just a wide range of expertise to draw from. They volunteered their time, they gave their knowledge, and this wasn't just volunteering for one event. The initiative hosted over 20 convenings, most of which were working team meetings. So Erica will elaborate on the types of considerations the task force used when narrowing in on problem statements and then ultimately the recommendations. In terms of accomplishments, I'm not going to go through all of these, but I just wanted to point out that just like we wanted to be open to new opportunities, we also did not want to wait to take action until the recommendations were finalized. So I do want to mention that Make It Main Street series that took place from July to November. The goal of that series was to create vibrant space for local artists to share their talents in a variety of mediums after being boarded up by COVID for so long, while also generating support for local businesses and outreach for nonprofits. On the last event in November, there was a DOT survey of over 100 participants, and over 60% of them said they would not be downtown at that time if it were not for Make It Main Street. One retailer I was talking to downtown said that they saw a 35% increase on the Thursdays that featured Make It Main Street, and every single survey responder, so 100%, said that they would like to see Make It Main Street come back. So there's plans for that to continue again starting in April 2022. The other bullet that I want to mention is on making new connections that will advance this work. So we said early on that recommendations would be a major outcome, but that the secret sauce would be in the relationships and the synergy that happens when you have the right people at the right time with community will. And so one of our task force members created a roundtable focused on workforce development and job opportunities. Dr. Taylor Mendoza, the president of the College of San Mateo and Montero resident, called me and said, Karen, I heard about the recovery initiative and I want to help. What are the needs of the coast right now? And after some wonderful discussions, she and her staff just last Friday toured 2 sites here on the coast in the hopes of bringing academic resources and a community college presence back to the coast side. So Dr. Taylor Mendoza, along with 16 others who represent relationships that this initiative has cultivated, submitted letters of support toward a recent grant application. And that has just been such a fun aspect of this work that has inspired a lot of confidence and meaningful relationships. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Erica, who's going to walk us through some of the recommendations themselves.
Great. Thank you, Karen, and good afternoon, commissioners. It's such a pleasure to be with you. I know it's a busy time of year. Karen really set the stage nicely for the recommendations, which I'm excited to talk about because they did, in fact, represent several months of hard work. And we really started with getting clear on the problems we were trying to solve. And we followed that old phrase of, we can do anything, but not everything. So that was a guiding theme that we used throughout our discussions. And we asked task force members to be appropriately ambitious in thinking about big ideas to address the challenges they were identifying and that they felt were most pressing, but frankly, that could also really make a difference for the community and for the coast side. Their ideas were validated through data, through key informant interviews, focus groups, stakeholder conversations before they became finalized. And it's important to note that the recommendations really represent the what in terms of what we hope to achieve, but not necessarily the how. The detailed steps and resources and timing associated with the how is part of implementation, which is the next phase that we're moving toward. So I'm going to touch on a few this afternoon in the interest of time and let you know that you can see the full list on our Coastside Recovery Initiative website, and we'll share that link at the end. So starting with one of our wonderful teams, Team Eco, this team really honed in on the challenge of we have this abundance of natural assets that we're so fortunate to enjoy on the coast. How do we use those assets to really strengthen the economy? And an important part of this is how we think about ag. It's been an important part of our past, but the future is uncertain. So these were 2 key challenges they identified. Some of the reasons why have to do with these 3 data points that you see. There are at least 8 different agencies along the coast that have a role in managing and stewarding our public lands and open spaces. And this can at times result in inconsistent rules and regulations, poor signage, a less cohesive visitor experience. They might visit a beach, but they're not necessarily directed to take advantage of our wonderful local areas of commerce. We talked about trash challenges a lot in our discussion and generally just missed opportunities. Looking at ag in particular, between the years of 2020 and 2019, there was a 30% drop in agricultural production. And we know that the brutal realities of climate change are upon us. And PG&E has categorized certain parts of our region as high risk. And as such, power shutoffs can be triggered more easily and often. And for one local farm, a power shutoff translates to $10,000 in loss when they're not able to complete a milking. So these are not insignificant impacts. The data affirm a sentiment that we heard in one of our interviews, which is we need to really think about investments in our natural infrastructure in the same way that we think about the importance of investments in other aspects of infrastructure, like our roads, like our bridges, like technology, and that in doing so, we can derive multiple benefits. So these are some of the reasons why Team ECO prioritized these two particular recommendations. I'm going to talk about the first one, and that has to do with how we can establish more of a network approach to land stewardship and land management on the coast. Specific examples of this range from things like the signage and the wayfinding to help visitors, again, enjoy our lovely recreational areas, but also take advantage of our businesses and shops and wonderful restaurants. We talked about things like a conservation corps and providing a source of jobs and training for the next generation of environmental stewards. And it was so inspiring to hear Amia's project with the water bottle filling station as an example. And then other opportunities related to the restoration economy. I will say we know that this collaboration has occurred on particular projects, but this is really about a sustained effort around a shared agenda and shared set of priorities and ongoing coordination. So we'll move to the next team. That was focused on places as well. And Team Vibrant really wanted to think about ways that we could make both our commercial and community spaces vibrant. And this framework that you see represented in the Venn diagram was really helpful in our discussions, that vibrant spaces are really defined as those that are about commerce and exchange, it facilitate the exchange of goods and services, but that they're also about community and facilitate the exchange of shared values, traditions, culture, and experiences. And when those two come together, we have a vibrant space. They honed in on two particular areas to focus attention: downtown Half Moon Bay and Pescadero. As Karen mentioned, we were delighted to participate on a walking tour of the harbor, and we knew the harbor was doing its own master planning process at the time. So that's why the focus on Half Moon Bay and Pescadero. One of the recommendations is to redesign the streetscape on Heritage Main Street to really increase mobility, economic activity, and overall vibrancy. And I will say it's a significant project with most likely a 5 to 10 year time frame. And it builds on momentum that's already in the works thanks to the great efforts of the community development team at the city, and an exciting project, Carter Park, which you've probably all heard about, that will be transformed starting in the new year. So we're excited about that. And then the second recommendation is around, how do we think about incentivizing local businesses to provide services in other places where people are congregating or enjoying themselves? I share the story that my daughter's a soccer player, and when you go down to Cunha Fields, for example, on the weekends, you can see all sorts of people and families. What if we could have a food truck there, for example? So this is all about how we think about supporting creativity and entrepreneurship and providing opportunities for commerce that go beyond brick and mortar. So we're excited about that recommendation as well. Finally, the last area that I'm going to touch on is our Team Innovate. This is really about getting us to the next economy. And this team identified 2 recommendations as well that were critical. One was to create a business incubator, and a business incubator specifically that would spur regional innovation, build entrepreneurship capacity, support new business, and importantly, support job growth. And I will say that we're aware incubators are not a new concept necessarily. How we're envisioning this incubator, however, is that it would take advantage of all the uniqueness our region has to offer and the assets that we have here and the opportunity industries. So what if we could have an incubator that supported early stage businesses and startups in the fields of ag and ag tech and regenerative farming and sustainable fishing and renewable energy and natural resource conservation? These would be the kinds of industry opportunities that we'd like to focus on. And importantly, values around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and supporting businesses that not only cared about profit, but also cared about the people that they hire and that cared about the planet. So kind of that triple bottom line notion. The final recommendation for this afternoon that I'll talk about is increasing vocational training and higher education opportunities on the coast side, and specifically making those services accessible here. And this really is about ensuring we've got the workers for the next economy and helping those who may have been dislocated as a result of impacts from the pandemic. The project really acknowledges that vulnerable residents like our dislocated workers and first-generation college students lack access to social capital and sometimes professional networks and just knowing how to navigate the systems, frankly. And so that can really profoundly impact their ability to take advantage of opportunities. And so they need services that are easily accessible, easy to navigate, kind of creating this no wrong door network of academic, labor, vocational, and adult school support. Really exciting momentum is already building in this area. Potential commercial space is being looked at for some community college services, and it of course helps that the president of the College of San Mateo and a member of her board are coastside residents. So with that, I will turn it back over to Karen to bring us home, and then we can answer questions.
Great. Thank you, Erica. No sooner had we finalized these recommendations that a federal opportunity presented itself. We submitted a proposal in response to the Economic Development Administration's Build Back Better Regional Challenge. And unfortunately, we found out this week that we were not selected among the 529 applications received from across the nation. So needless to say, it was highly competitive. And while it was not the outcome that we hoped for, the projects proposed were seen as competitive by our regional EDA representative who encouraged us to apply. And these recommendations put us at a level of readiness for the many funding opportunities that are available right now. So many grants we are seeing affirm the need for economic recovery to be comprehensive. And we believe that transformational change requires a regional approach, which is why from the beginning, this initiative has been from Devil's Slide south to the county line and east to Skyline Boulevard. It's not specific to the limits of the city. We don't believe that one jurisdiction can go it alone and hope to make great gains in economic development and transformation. So the 15 recommendations are one part of a broader vision of economic development. They are tied to large adjacent issues that we really need to be honest about, like affordable housing and digital infrastructure and traffic. These are issues that affect all of the coast side, not just one part. And the next phase of this initiative is implementation. So we will be focusing on capacity and a structure to advance this work moving forward. And for a full list of the 15 recommendations, because we only touched on some of them in the interest of time, you can see them as well as a staff report that will provide more context found at our website, coastsiderecovery.com. And also we're in the throes of writing and designing a final report, which will be made available online after the first of the year. And so I would be happy to refer back to invite questions, comments, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. And also, Erica and Karen, thank you so much for involving the Harbor District as well. I mean, it is, we are a big part, I think, of the coastside economy. And, you know, we as an enterprise district as well, are very cognizant of the fact that, you know, we do contribute to the local economic development of the coastside and, quite frankly, San Mateo County. So thank you for allowing us to participate in this. I think we were with Team Vibrant. Is that right? I think Team Vibrant, right?
Right.
So I'll open it up. Sorry. I don't know if someone was trying to say something, but I'll open it up to commissioner comments right now, if there are any. If there are any, please raise your hand. If not, that's okay.
Oh, thank
Commissioner
you.
Wiring.
Karen and Erica, thank you for the presentation. It's very interesting. Do we have the ability to attach that slideshow retroactively to the agenda item, Jim? Or maybe we could just be forwarded it?
I would be happy to send it to Commissioner Pruitt.
Great, thank you.
I think that's a great idea. Any other commissioners? Because we do have a hand up for public comment. Yes. So I'll open up this item for public comment now. Melanie, I don't know if you see the hand up from attendee S. Or Lizzie, thank you.
Yeah, hi, thank you. This is Sabrina Brennan, and that was a really great presentation, very peppy, lots of information. Since I know you guys couldn't touch on everything, I had a follow-up question and just wondered if there was a housing component, and if you guys could maybe give us a little information about how that went and what some of the creative ideas were regarding housing. Thank you.
So before we go there, commissioners are not allowed to respond, but Jim Pruitt, if you would like to, or I mean, I'm happy to have you respond to that or discuss this with Erica and Karen to address this question.
Thank you, Commissioner Crawley. I do not have any specific information as if the group look into housing. I'd have to refer to Karen or Erica.
Thank you.
Would it be appropriate for me to comment at this time?
Yeah, just very briefly, Karen, if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all. And Sabrina, thank you for the question. You can't really talk about economic development without talking about housing, can you? I mean, they are just so interdependent and interconnected. And I just want to acknowledge that was brought up consistently throughout all 4 of our working teams. I also want to say that similarly to, say, reliable cellular and internet activity, affordable housing, traffic, some of those adjacent issues that I mentioned at the end of the presentation, they are large issues in unto themselves that would merit their own initiatives, right? And the Half Moon Bay City Council economic development was one of the 5 council priorities for the year, and affordable housing is a council priority unto itself. Right. So there's such large issues that we know in the housing situation, we're not going to build our way out of it. It's going to have to be a really, really comprehensive, holistic approach. I think the same can be said about economic development. So I say all that to acknowledge the importance of it, but the Coastside Recovery Initiative really had to do a deep dive into the economy. And as Erica likes to say, we can do anything, but we can't do everything. And something like bringing reliable internet to the coast or finding creative ways for affordable housing is going to require the galvanization of many other agencies and efforts and funding sources. And so our hope was to do a deeper dive at the local level for more immediate relief from COVID. But that's not to say that housing is not an absolutely essential part of that conversation.
Thank you, Karen. I see Commissioner Lorenas' hand up on this particular item, right, Ed?
Yes. So thank you for being here. I enjoyed your presentation. As you can see, the Harbor District actually sits right on both sides of that Venn diagram that you had, Erica. We're right in the middle of it. We might not be quite as balanced in some ways. I'd like to see more work on the environmental side for us. We do have a very large, in fact, one of the best commercial fishing fleets, really. We also have a large recreational fleet. We have folks here that do both in terms of rentals, but also just providing access for human-powered craft like kayaks and SUPs. And we see a whole wide host of uses of our harbor. And one of the aspects of that is we're super happy to have the public come here. We actually want to encourage more of these activities. And we want to encourage more protection of our environment in this. And so I was happy to see that you have a component of enjoying the environment, also protecting it. And I think you guys have done a good job with that. And I'm hoping that the City of Half Moon Bay will continue to look at both sides of that equation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioner comments? If not, I'll just thank Karen and Erica for their presentation and all the work that you've done. And if you could thank the Recovery Task Force, that would be wonderful. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So the next item is one. Sorry. The next item is one that I wanted to move up, and that was item 14. I know a lot of people are interested in the draft master plan. So this item is item 14 now, which is the first draft of the San Mateo County Harbor District Master Plan. Jim, if you'd like to kick off this part of the agenda item, that'd be great.
Thank you very much, President Crawley. As you stated, item 14 concerns the San Mateo County Harbor District Master Plan. It is the first draft of the plan for the board and public review. Our consultant, STUDAC, will make the presentation of the first draft. And at this time, I will now turn the floor over to Matthew Valero of DUDEC to make that presentation. Matthew.
Jim, and good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to give a brief presentation providing an overview of the draft San Mateo County Harbor District Master Plan. Most importantly, we want to express the desire for earnest and open feedback. My name is Matt Valerio, the project manager from DUDEC for the master plan. The draft master plan has been pulled together with input and support from the district, including commissioners, General Manager Jim Pruitt, Director of Operations John Moran, and Deputy Secretary Melanie Haddon, as well as from adjacent agency staff, stakeholders, and members of the public. Key members of our team includes myself, Asha Blair, Jane Gray, Danielle Berger, as well as Bradley Damitz, Bob Sherwood, and Aaron Holloway. Today's presentation is to alert the public that the master plan is available for review, provide an overview of the master plan, and encourage all to read the master plan and provide feedback. In alignment with our original schedule, we are asking that feedback be submitted by January 4th, 2022, but in light of the holidays, this may be extended. The master plan consists of 5 chapters: introduction, project prioritization, sustainability and sea level rise, marina facility condition surveys, and public outreach. It also includes 3 appendices. Appendix A is project prioritization table, Appendix B is the marina facilities condition surveys, and Appendix C is communication and engagement plan. The process for assembling the master plan included substantial public outreach, and assessing the conditions of facilities. The public outreach has included pop-up events at the district's facilities, stakeholder meetings, community group engagement, an online survey, in-person surveys, and public workshops. As outlined in this slide, today is the 4th workshop presentation and the launch of an additional opportunity for critical public feedback on the master plan. As an overview of the master plan itself, the first chapter is introduction. This provides context of the district's responsibilities, the purpose, mission, and vision of the master plan, as well as the relationship to other plans, policies, and jurisdictions. Chapter 2 is the heart of the master plan and identifies the prioritization of the projects using the criteria shown: facility condition, funding status, community support, user value and benefits, exposure and resilience to sea level rise and/or coastal hazards, and estimated cost. Within each criteria, a weight is assigned and scoring metrics are established as shown here. Using the criteria and scoring metrics, each project was scored and, depending on the score, assigned a priority tier. For Pillar Point Harbour, the highest tier projects, or Tier 1 projects, are shown here and include Johnson Pier End Expansion, Fuel Dock, and Johnson Pier Support Piles and Vents. For Pillar Point Harbour, the Tier 2 projects include Johnson Pier Roadway, Pillar Point Habitat Restoration, and Pillar Point Coastal Trail Improvements. For Pillar Point Harbour Tier 3 projects, these include docks D, E, F, G, and H, as well as boat launch ramp and boarding docks. For Pillar Point Harbour Tier 4 projects include docks A, B, and C, as well as a public fishing pier. Similarly, projects at Oyster Point Marina Park were scored and assigned a tier. For Oyster Point Marina Park, the highest tier, Tier 1 projects include East Side Lower Parking Lot and Marina Boulevard. For Oyster Point Marina Park Tier 2 projects included Harbour Master's office buildings, Guest Dock 8 gangway, and East Side restrooms 1, 2, and 3. For Oyster Point Marina Park Tier 3 projects include shoreline rock slope protection, seawall cap, and a public fishing pier. For Oyster Point Marina Park Tier 4 projects include windsurf and launch ramp, seawall sheet piles, and Dock 11. In addition, the master plan identifies further opportunities for the district to consider, which for Pillar Point Harbour include the list shown here. Items such as management of additional marinas, a fisherman's market, seasonal floating finger docks, increased marine businesses, and a new commercial fishing pier are included. And for Oyster Point Marina Park, the future opportunities for the district could include a fuel dock, again, more marine-related businesses and boat repair facilities, and security services or equipment, and opportunity for a 40,000 square foot building. Furthermore, the master plan notes other opportunities that the district could explore. These consist of renegotiating district contracts, returning Oyster Point Marina Management to the City of South San Francisco, and transferring ownership of West Trail to the county. Chapter 3 of the master plan presents sea level rise projections and risk ratings of vulnerability for facilities within the district, tracked on a timeline through the year 2100. This chapter presents a comprehensive assessment of sea level rise vulnerability at both Pillar Point Harbour and Oyster Point Marina Park. Specific considerations for key projects, including Johnson Pier at Pillar Point Harbour and parking lots at Oyster Point Marina Park, are presented with information intended to inform future decisions regarding resiliency and adaptation to sea level rise. Chapter 4 provides an overview of the condition surveys that have been posted on the district's website for most of this year and are attached to the master plan. They provide detailed assessment of the conditions of the marina facilities within Pillar Point Harbour and Oyster Point Marina. Finally, Chapter 5 presents the public outreach undertaken to formulate the plan, the methods, devices, events, and results, with the full communication and engagement plan provided as an appendix to the master plan. With that, thank you for your time. And again, we welcome all the feedback on the master plan moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I open it up to commissioner comments. Thank you so much, Matthew and Brad. Brad, if there are any commissioner comments on this, this would be the time to let your voices be heard.
I think this is a great step forward. I'm glad to see this finally coming together. It's a great guiding document. I know there's been a lot of work, not only on behalf of DUDEC, but our staff as well. And I'm glad to see this thing move forward.
Commissioner Zemke?
Yes, I did. I know I did provide some initial comments. Maybe the one I wanted to focus on I think I understand the prioritization scheme that was proposed here, and it's probably a good general tool to look at the priorities. But as I went through the list, there are some things that the district may need to do that have either environmental constraints or safety constraints or things that might raise them to a higher level on the priority list. And I'm not sure if I guess going forward, we're going to have to think about how does that affect the priority. So there may be projects out there that need to be done that just aren't as glamorous maybe or as promoted as popular that might have to be done. So that's just a technicality, but I just thought I wanted to throw that comment out.
Commissioner Arenas, I see that you're unmuted, and as is Commissioner Ryering. So if y'all have any comments.
Give me a second. I'll defer to Nancy right now.
Commissioner Ryering, anything? Okay, no worries. If you don't have anything,
I'm still blowing up things on. Oh, I'm still blowing up things on my screen and reading. Sorry.
Well, this is a draft of the master plan, and so it can still be refined. And I mean, I'd be happy to open the discussion up to public comment as well. If there's anyone from the public who would like to make a comment on this, that'd be great. You can raise your hand now. If not, no big deal. Commissioner Arenas, do you have any comments? Yeah. I'm sorry, I've got the leaf blower in the background. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I do. I'm like Tom, I'm very happy to see progress on this. I have a couple questions with respect to input from the public, and then also just what the plan is moving forward for us as commissioners. Maybe our consultants can give us an idea of what they're thinking.
Okay, we do have a public.
So Matt, I guess that's you.
Yeah. Thank you, Commissioners. For the public review, obviously we're looking for any input and all input. And at the conclusion of that, we would make any further refinements. And certainly regroup with yourselves and staff to identify any, sort of significant changes or any particular information that comes in that is of, I'll say, a sort of a change to any particular direction. So I think even things like Commissioner Zemke's concerns over maybe some of the prioritization scoring, then we would address that and certainly want to make sure that we resolve that in a collaborative manner. And then it would essentially come forward in a more final format for you as commissioners to ultimately approve as a master plan.
Great. So I'm still in comment mode, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Please.
I would like to see, and I suspect our staff has done this, and that is sent out notices to our list and perhaps other mechanisms by which the general public can discover that we are in a draft master plan mode. Those of you that have looked at the participant list and those of you that follow this meeting, you know that I'm always complaining about this. We're having a meeting in the middle of the day when most of the public can't attend. Our panelist list often tends to exceed the public list. So, while it's great we're talking about this and going into details on this, we have maybe 3 members of the public here that are interested in what's going on or that can actually attend. So my question to staff is, what are we doing to make sure that that those members of the public, both that are interested in Pillar Point and in Oyster Point, what are we doing to make sure that they know this is happening? because, you know, it's been going on for a long time. So might be outside their horizon.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Lorenz, and I can address that question. We'll be putting it again out on our social media platforms. It is attached to this agenda for this meeting, and all the documents are, and that was sent out to our bang list and our user groups, and we'll do the same thing. We'll do another mass mailing specifically just on the master plan, that it's ready for review, and put it out. And then we'll also put up notices both at Pillar Point and Oyster Point that the master plan is ready for public review. The one concern that I had with talking with public comment and talking with Matthew was the deadline for comments of being January 4th. I think that with the holidays needs to be extended at least a 30 or 60-day extension so that the public does have time to review. This is a very large document, and it does take quite a bit to read the document and digest it before you can provide those comments. So I would definitely recommend to the board extending it at least until February 4th for public comment. But to get it out, we will do a mass campaign on social media, and we will be sending it out on our bang list, and also putting up notices at both our marinas and the harbor. It's also one other thing. We already added it to the banner page of our webpage. So if you go on smharbor.com, the banner page says master plan, where you can click on it and get to the draft master plan and an opportunity to comment there.
I realize this next comment request represents a massive amount of work, but since this is the draft master plan, shouldn't we give the public and ourselves an opportunity to have a conversation about this by way of a special meeting, and at a time when members of the public can actually attend? Some people just like to comment, have the opportunity to look at us and tell us what they think. What do you think about that?
Commissioner Lorenz, we have more than 3 members of the public here today. We have 19, and I recognize that not all of them are members of the public, that there are some Harbor District staff here, but we have 19 people here. And if you take away, I don't know, we think Chris Tibby and
there's 35 participants.
Well, I mean, the point isn't that
the panelists, and you know, why argue about a few numbers?
I am not done yet. Please, you asked you asked a question. I am always open to an open session or a special meeting. I'm not opposed to it, but I don't like the fact that I think that the mischaracterization of the number of the members of the public who are here today are not being accounted for, because they do take their time to be here. So saying that there are 3 minimizes everyone else who's taken the time to be here. So I'm open to having a special meeting from if you would, I know that you're laughing at me, Commissioner Lorenz, but I think you're minimizing the other members of the public who've taken the time to be here, because it's more than 3. So I will work with the general manager to figure out if we would like to have a special meeting, but I don't think that, that members of the public aren't able to access this. This has been out in the public realm for, the number of hours, 72 hours, 3 days, 3 business days. So they've had a chance to look at this. But I agree, this is the draft. And if the general manager believes that we should have more public input, I'm not opposed to that. But I do appreciate all the people who are here, the more than 3 people who are in attendance today, for listening in on this. Commissioner Mateusz?
I'm just curious, what is I forgot the name of it, open something. We're paying $200 a month for the public to be able to look in depth at our different processes and the things we've got going on, in addition to our Harbor District website that lists all these for people that are interested and wanted to follow along. You're on mute.
Who are you addressing, Commissioner Mateusz?
just in general, I'm just trying to help make sure that everybody understands that there's multiple ways to look at what we have going on our website. And for some reason, I forgot the name of that thing that we put open something.
OpenGov.
So
OpenGov. Okay.
There's a lot of ways to look at what we're doing.
Thank you. Commissioner Reiringer Zimke, you're unmuted. I don't know if you would like to make a comment.
Virginia, I just had one other comment. I don't know how to correct this necessarily, but if anybody else has opened up and tried to look at Appendix A, it's an extremely large table.
Yeah.
And it does not show well on my laptop. And
Same.
I'm not even sure I could do it with a magnifying glass to look at it. It really is pretty unreadable. And if it was, I don't know how to correct it. I don't know how to come up with a suggestion to make it more user-friendly, but I found it kind of useless.
Agreed.
Jim, you might want to take a look at that to see if there's any way to blow that up or maybe put it into different parts so that people can read it.
I'll work with Matthew on that. I use
Thank you.
an iPad and blow it up, and
Yeah.
that is cumbersome.
Thank you. Thanks for that, Commissioner Zimke. Commissioner Reiring? Do you have any comments?
No.
Okay, I'll open this item up for public comment. We have a hand raised for S.
Yeah, hi, this is Sabrina Brennan. Can you hear me?
Yes, you have 2 minutes.
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to start by reminding everybody that we learned this week that there's an Antarctic ice shelf that could collapse within 5 years, causing increased dangerous sea level rise. I'm glad to see sea level rise is mentioned in this draft. However, I did not see any real specific plans for addressing sea level rise by the district. It's just sort of noted. I don't think that this draft is nearly comprehensive enough in assessing how sea level rise should influence the district's decisions on its master plan, planning projects and so forth. So I strongly recommend that you guys take that a lot more seriously. Also want to mention that this meeting was very hard to join today. The links should be highlighted in blue on the agenda, so it's easy to find the Zoom links. And the Zoom link should be included in the email that goes out to the public, notifying them about your meetings so that it's not like looking for a needle in a haystack. And I do not think that this is an appropriate way to educate the public about this draft master plan because this meeting is being held during the workday. I'm taking off work right now to listen in. This is just not public friendly, and you guys have been told that for a long time and you haven't corrected it, and it's very disappointing. So just wanted to restate that. And I also want to state that the district should not be wasting countywide taxpayer funds on a marina.
Thank you. Your 2 minutes are up. Thank you.
That the district doesn't own. Thank you.
Melanie? Okay. Any other public comments? Matthew, do you have anything else to add, or Jim?
Nothing from me. As Jim mentioned, we'll work to rescale Appendix A.
Great. Let's move on to the next item, which is Melanie. FYI, this part of the agenda has been moved around. So the next item would be item 12, which is the Keatner-Hin DBA KN Properties approve assignment of lease to Pillar Point Harbor LLC DBA Pillar Point RV Park. Jim and Julie, if you'd like to start off with this by kicking off this report, that'd be great.
Julia, I'll go ahead and start it out and you can add as you see fit. Item 12 concerns the assignment of the Keatner-Hin lease for the RV park to Pillar Point Harbor LLC. This issue was previously raised and presented to the board on October 20th, 2021. At that meeting, the concern was voiced that the LLC name of Pillar Point Harbor would cause confusion with the public. I, as the general manager, met with Keith Nerhan, and Keith was willing to change the name of the LLC if required, but would prefer to continue as Pillar Point Harbor LLC, as the LLC has already been filed and approved by the state of California. It's important to note that the Pillar Point Harbor LLC will be doing business as Pillar Point RV Park. On all paperwork accounts advertising the name Pillar Point RV Park will be used. The use of the Pillar Point Harbor LLC will be mainly for internal use. In fact, the park will be operated under the DBA and not the LLC. That I recommend to the board that the lease assignment from Keith Nerhan doing business as K&N Properties to Pillar Point Harbor LLC doing business as Pillar Point Park or Pillar Point RV Park. Again, all outward facing communications from Pillar Point Harbor LLC will be done as Pillar Point RV Park. So the confusion of the use of the term harbor should be minimal at best. And then you had another question about assigning the lease from an individual to an LLC. And I will ask Tricia Ortiz, our general counsel, to discuss that point.
Thank you. Thanks, Tricia.
Yeah, so you just asked to confirm whether the change from having the lease be with a person to having it be between the district and the LLC would have any sort of legal effect on the relationship. And I just wanted to confirm that it wouldn't, because as part of the assignment, we're requiring the owner of the LLC to sign a personal guarantee, which will have the effect of as if the lease was between the district and the person, because you have the person guaranteeing the obligations of the corporation.
Okay. I'll open it up to commissioner comments. Commissioner Arenas, did you want to make a comment on this item?
Yes, I did have a comment on the previous item, but I'll just let that pass. One of the other questions that we had, I can't remember who it was that presented, it may have been Tom, was moving the assignment to LLC. Does that give us an opportunity to revisit the lease? That was one of the questions we had. And I don't see an answer to that here.
Is there an answer? Was that even a topic of discussion during the time that y'all corresponded with Mr. Nerhan?
I failed to bring that up with Mr. Nerhan, but from my opinion is that it's just assigning the lease to a new LLC. And yes, it could be part of that if we wanted to negotiate with K&N Properties to move the lease over to Pillar Point Harbor LLC. But there would be no incentive on their side to negotiate any changes unless they do have changes that they want. We will be negotiating changes to their lease with respect to the RV park and green space project. And at that point, will be renegotiation because of the property changes.
Did that answer your question, Commissioner Arenas? Do you have another comment or question?
Yeah, I didn't fully understand the answer. My thought was that this may be an opportunity to have a discussion with Mr. Nerhan on some of the issues surrounding the RV park. And then I realized that there's a reason they want to do this change to an LLC. There might be enough incentive to work with him to negotiate a few changes to the way.
Commissioner Lorenas, and if you permitted, President Crawley.
Yes, please.
If we're going beyond the specific agenda item, I believe, and just changing the name, if the board is interested in doing that, my recommendation would be to assign the property negotiators and then meet in closed session with the board to get their direction, and then go work with Mr. Nehan on the lease per board direction, and then bring the matter back to the board.
Well, I agree with you, Jim. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yep, thanks.
No, thank you, Jim. So the action that you would like for us to take is to approve a request by Keith Nearhan to, DBA KN Properties to assign its lease with the district to Pillar Point Harbor LLC, and to authorize you, the general manager, Jim, to execute the consent to assignment of the lease. So that is the recommendation. There is another option, because Commissioner Lorenas has brought up a point that, that could warrant, if the board wishes to delve into this a little more and get some more information. So, I'm happy to do that as well, if whatever the board wishes. I mean, basically there are two options. It's the current motion and the suggestion that Jim made in response to Commissioner Lorenas's comments. So I don't know if any board members would like to chime in on this, but we do have a public comment from S. I'd be happy to take public comment now, and maybe, if you wanted to respond to Commissioner Lorenas, we could do that. So why don't we just take public comment for S? You have 2 minutes. Thank you.
Yes, S is Sabrina Brennan. That's me. So I just want to say that the lease for the RV lot is a sweetheart deal. It's long been described that way by many people, not just me. And it constitutes a gift of public funds. The district has a fiduciary responsibility to correct the giveaway at any opportunity. So I would strongly encourage the board to take that seriously, because it is your responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner comments, any response? Commissioner Matoush?
It sounded to me, the general manager brought up an interesting point that could possibly go for a future board meeting should the board agree. But I think we're limited in what we can say and do on this agenda item by the way it's written on our agenda.
Okay. Commissioner Zemke?
Thanks. I really have no background on the lease agreement with the RV park and whether it's a good deal or a bad deal. So I feel kind of no information to decide one way or the other.
Commissioner Lorenas, can I ask, or Jim, both of you, I think Jim was responding to Commissioner Lorenas's comments. So, Ed, were you thinking that, what did you want? If we went back, what would you want Jim to discuss with Mr. Nearhan? Is it about the green space improvements and how he can participate more? I mean, what exactly, just so that we're all clear, it's probably me more than anyone.
President Crawley, if I can interrupt a little bit, just to make sure we're complying. The motion is to approve the request by Kurt Nehan to assign its lease with the district to Pillar Point Harbor LLC.
Okay.
The question you just asked is outside the scope of that.
Okay, you're right.
So we would have to, if the board wishes to meet in closed session on this and with property negotiators, I recommend that we the board take no action on item 12 at this time, and then have you, President Crawley, work with me to schedule a meeting in which we can discuss this in the closed session where it belongs.
Okay, that's fair. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Commissioner Lorenas, but I think Jim wanted to clarify. But I don't want to go beyond the scope of the agenda item. So, but I'm willing to take the general manager's suggestion. But I would love to hear what my fellow commissioners have to think about this as well.
I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a closed session meeting about this and really get an understanding of how this lease originated and where we stand. And especially as we have a commissioner on board who is not familiar with this.
Mm-hmm. You wouldn't think it's a bad idea? I think it's a good idea. Mm-hmm. Commissioner Lorenas, your hand's still up, so I'm calling on you.
There you go. No, I think that's exactly right.
Commissioner Mateusz?
I concur with what the general manager just spoke of.
Yep.
Commissioner Zemke?
Thanks. No, I would appreciate that. Thanks.
Okay, so Jim, I agree. Why don't we talk offline once this is done and we'll figure out this. But for this item, we're not taking any action.
Do you need a vote on that or is that okay?
Tricia, if we're not taking any action, do we need to vote that we're not taking any action? I don't think so.
I don't think
we're not
so.
approving the resolution.
You can just move on to the next item.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you. So let's move on to the next item. And that item is item 13, which is the Catch Joanne Restaurant and Harbor Bar LLC real property lease. I think this is within Jim and Julie's bailiwick. Jim?
Thank you, President Crawley. We just had one question on when item 9 was going to be presented. So I wanted to just say that we're doing agenda item 13 right now. We're going to follow with item 10, 11, then item 9.
Yeah, but I may actually move that if
item 9 is ready now.
Okay, why don't we, can we just dispense with item 13? I mean, that's part of the business and the lease issue that we talked about in our special meeting. So if we dispense with that, then I'll just move to item 9. And I noticed that Chief Belleville is here from the OEM, Office of Emergency Management. So I might just, after item 9, I'll just move to the local hazard mitigation plan topic. So why don't we just dispense with number 13? And I appreciate the patience of those waiting to hear about item 9.
Very well.
But this is the Catch Joanne Restaurant and Bar issue now.
Thank you, President Crawley. And as stated, item 13 concerns the real property lease between Catch Joanne Restaurant and Harbor Bar LLC and the Harbor District. Between October 11th, 2020 and November 29th, 2021, we've been designated property negotiators, which are myself and Julie Van Hoff, have been negotiating with Catch Joanne Restaurant and Harbor Bar LLC on a lease acceptable to both parties. That draft lease is now being presented to the board for approval. We're asking for approval of Resolution 2120, which states, the resolution of the Board of Harbor Commissioners of the San Mateo County Harbor District approving a lease agreement between the district as landlord and Catch Joanne Restaurant and Harbor Bar LLC as tenant for certain real property located at Pillar Point Harbor. The Board of Harbor Commissioners of the San Mateo County Harbor District does hereby resolve as follows. Section 1, that certain lease agreement between the San Mateo County Harbor District as landlord and Catch Joanne Restaurant Harbor Bar LLC as tenant to operate a restaurant and harbor bar on a portion of the district's property located at Pillar Point Harbor, a copy of which is on file with the district secretary, is hereby approved. The general manager is authorized and directed to execute said agreement on behalf of the district with such changes as deemed necessary by the general manager. The general manager shall administer terms of the agreement on behalf of the district and shall execute all documents required of the district thereunder or otherwise necessary or convenient for the transaction described therein, and may enter into a non-substantial amendments to the agreement provided they are in writing. The recommended motion is consider resolution 2120 approving a lease agreement by and between San Mateo County Harbor District as landlord and Catch Joanne Restaurant Harbor Bar LLC as tenant. That's the end of my presentation, pending any questions.
I'll open it up to commissioner comments. Any comments, commissioners?
I'll make a motion that we consider resolution 2120 approving a lease agreement binding between the San Mateo County Harbor District as landlord and Catch Joanne Restaurant and Harbor Bar LLC as tenant.
Second.
Well, hold on. So not consider, we would be approving.
I just read that wrong.
Yes. So if you want to make the motion to approve resolution 21.
Oh, yeah, the motion's written
yes
correctly. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the lease agreement binding between San Mateo County Harbor District as landlord and Catch Joanne Restaurant and Harbor Bar LLC as tenant.
I think Commissioner Mateo seconded it.
Yes.
Any comments or any public comments?
Thank Jim for his work on these leases this last year. It was a big goal of the Harbor District to update all of its leases, and it was a priority for me when I got elected. So I'm really pleased to see these new leases.
I would concur with that. If there are no comments by commissioners, let's do a roll call, Melanie.
Commissioner Lorenz?
Aye.
Did you take public comment?
Aye.
President Shane Crawley, I'm sorry, did you take public comment?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Commissioner Ryrie?
Aye.
Commissioner Matoush?
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke?
Aye.
So the motion carries. Thank you very much. And Jim, thank you as well for all of your work, and Julie as well. Why don't we move to item 9, which is the post-census data release hearing. Jim.
Thank you, President Corrali. As required by the state of California, the Harbor District must review the census data and decide if redistricting is required to properly represent the county of San Mateo. With authorization, the district redistricting partners was contacted to assist in making that determination. With that, I will turn the floor over to the redistricting partners to get to the specific. And Kimmy, the floor is yours, and you may share your screen.
Thank you very much. So I actually got sent Kimmy's invite. My name is Kay Montpleasure. I'm a project manager with Redistricting Partners, and I wasn't able to change the name. So hello, it's nice to meet you all. Okay, just one moment, please. Okay, so like I said, my name is Kay Montpleasure. I am a project manager with Redistricting Partners, and today we are going to go through the 2020 census data and next steps. So like I said, we'll be going over census data, and we'll also be going over some basics of redistricting, starting with traditional redistricting principles, talking a little bit about communities of interest. We're going to go over our timeline, and then we're going to have a discussion on area boundaries. So first, let's just define what redistricting is. It is the process of adjusting district lines every 10 years after the release of U.S. Census data. When people usually think of redistricting, they think of congressional or legislative redistricting, but special districts also have to go through this process. And within the United States, redistricting has become an extremely politicized process, and it's been the subject of more high-profile Supreme Court cases or decisions, than any other part of our election system. Because of that, we have some principles set in place to keep a redistricting from becoming a gerrymander. And so these are traditional redistricting principles, and this is a number of criteria that's been used nationally and upheld by courts, and we use this in all of our redistricting. The first of these is that districts have to be of relatively equal size. And when we say relatively equal size, we mean people, not just citizens, not voters, total population of a district. They also have to be contiguous, which is really just a word we only use in redistricting. But what it means is that districts don't hop or jump. So another way to explain that is that you can draw the district with one line. So you don't have islands of the districts in other areas. Next, we maintain communities of interest. And a community of interest is a group of people that would benefit from being maintained in a single district. And it's a really subjective definition because you as community members define what your community of interest is. They also follow city and census designated place boundaries. And we also make sure that we keep districts compact in both appearance and function. And what we mean by that is when you think in compact in appearance, I'm sure when you think of gerrymandering, you think of those long, snaky districts. We want to make sure we don't have districts that look like that, and that we're keeping population pockets together, and we're making sure that our districts are as, square or circular as we can make them. And when we talk about compact and function, I'm sure that most of you know that there are places that look like they may be next to each other on a map, but are actually really hard to get to one another. So maybe they're separated by a freeway or a river. We want to make sure that we're considering those communities, not necessarily as right next to each other as neighbors, and considering those geographical features as well to make sure that our districts are compact and function as well. So here we have our current district lines for each of the 5 districts. And so this is the 2020 census data table that we have here. We have deviations of each of the separate districts, and deviation is really how far away a district is from that ideal number to make each district equal in population. So the largest deviations we have are in District 3 and District 5. District 3 is overpopulated by 6,463 with a deviation of positive 4.2%. And then District 5 is a bit underpopulated with 7,460, negative 7,460 or negative 4.9% deviation. Oh, excuse me. And so the total deviation here is 9.1%. So a maximum deviation of a total deviation of the district is 10%. So you are under that 10% deviation. So it is possible for San Mateo Harbor District to keep their current lines because of the equal population the population is under that 10% deviation maximum. So when we talk about next steps, the board should really just determine tonight whether they would like to use existing lines or receive draft maps. Just Redistricting Partners draws different options of draft maps for you to consider. And we would like to get any direction if we do want to do draft maps tonight. We'd like to get any direction on where those changes should be made. And then we will take the draft map suggestions and present draft maps to the board in January. And again, that January meeting is draft maps, so nothing will be final. It'll be a chance for you all to look at the maps, for the community members to look at the maps, and to give any feedback on what they would like to see changed. And ideally, at the January meeting, the board will select one draft map with any feedback or any changes they'd like to see, and then approve the final map in April. So just a quick timeline for upcoming meetings. December 15th, today we have our process and data presentation. In January, we are going to be presenting draft maps to the board. And then in February, presenting final maps to the board. And that is the end of my presentation. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I'll open it up to commissioner comments or questions.
Well, I believe I heard you say that we're close enough that we don't really need new maps.
Yes, so you are underneath the maximum deviation. You're close at 9.1%. So you do not necessarily have to change you don't even need draft maps if you choose not to have those. So yeah.
That was going to be my question. If we didn't change anything, we don't even need draft maps. We could just make the decision today. Is that correct? That we don't want to do any changes and we'll keep our current lines? Is that something we can decide on today? Jim?
Yes. That is something to not move forward with draft maps that you can decide. I definitely, recommend getting some community input and hearing from the rest of the board. But that's absolutely an option.
President Chang-Crowley, I just want to clarify though that if you decide not to give direction to draw draft maps, you would still have another public hearing at which you would consider a resolution to just keep the boundaries as they are. So you could give that direction today, but there will be another public hearing on the districting process.
The January meeting? There was a little timeline that was outlined, and I think I think it may be at our January meeting. Is that correct? And would that be the time that we would be approving, with public input, the final?
That's correct.
Okay. Any other commissioner comments? I'm not sure. Commissioner Arenas, you're unmuted. I don't know if you have a comment.
Yes. I'm a little unclear on this. I'll just put this out there. It seems to me that we'd be better served by listening to what our community has to say and then making a decision, instead of making a decision and then having a public meeting to talk about the decision we've made. Seems kind of backwards.
Well, I think that the January meeting, if I understand Tricia correctly, would include public input at that time. So it's not as if the public won't have time to consider, what we're going to be doing.
That would be a public hearing, the January meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But aren't we talking about making a decision at this moment on the?
No. Sorry, Commissioner Lorenas. The decision would be made in January after the public hearing, not today.
Okay, good.
Commissioner Zemke?
Yeah, I like it. I would like to get some consensus or just word from our constituents what their feeling is. But mine is that I'm not sure I see a great value to proceeding with redistricting. I mean, barring any other comment from the public.
Commissioner Reinering, do you have any comments? If not, I'll open it up to public comment. We have S, who has her hand up. Why don't we take public comment? You have 2 minutes.
Hi, this is Sabrina Brennan, and as you probably all know, I'm an advocate for district-based elections and very glad that the Harbor District now has district-based elections. Because you are so close to meeting the threshold of a requirement that would trigger the need to adjust the existing districts, it would be in the best interest of the public, especially marginalized communities of color, to go ahead and redistrict. Even if it's subtle changes, this is important for the public and it's a public interest issue. So I do strongly support making adjustments to the districts with regard to the new census data. It's the right thing to do. I understand that you don't legally have to do it, but it is the right thing to do and you should do it. And if you don't do it, clearly it'll have to happen next time around. So you might as well just do it now. So that's my input. Thanks.
Any other commissioner comments? Okay, if not, then we'll just bring this back to our full board in January. And let's move on to the next.
Just before moving on, just to be clear, sure. So you do not want any draft maps at the January meeting?
What does this board wish? How much do draft maps cost, just out of curiosity?
We will, I believe that's included in the package. So I mean, we can do draft maps options. So it's really up to you how you'd like to move forward there.
Well, I'll open it up to commissioner comments, but I think I understand where Commissioner Zimke is coming from and Commissioner Mateo. And I don't want to speak for Commissioner Lorenas, but I think y'all were all on the same page, I think. I mean, I would just rather, I mean, we don't have to draft maps right now or draft maps. And I think that we should just have the public hearing and not bring forth any draft maps at this point. But that's just me. Commissioner Lorenas, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I have a comment, a question. So I understand what you were saying. I didn't quite get it before. Draft map may help facilitate the discussions that we're planning to have in January. Is that right? So
yeah. So
it makes sense.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I was just thinking it does make sense to, since it's part of the package and it's a draft. I didn't realize what you were talking about was a draft map. That makes sense to me if you're going to have a meeting about this with.
Yeah, and if we do offer draft maps to the public and to the board, we are, you have the option to still go with your existing lines as they are. So, personally, if I would recommend at least seeing draft maps to see, how we could adjust and, maybe unite certain communities or neighborhoods that maybe have been previously split up. But that's my suggestion, but it's obviously up to you what you'd like to do moving forward.
Okay. I think it's a little clearer now too.
President Corrali, we can have both the maps and the draft resolution drafted. So we can make the final decision at the next meeting just to go with our current districts, or if after viewing the maps, we'll go further and actually do redistricting at the January meeting. So we can have both.
Okay. So if it's no extra cost, it's part of the package, then, why not at least look at different options? How many options do you think there would be?
Well, since one of the options is keeping existing lines, we usually do 2 draft map options. And again, it's a draft map. So anything that we do show you is not final. And we will take any suggestions. If you do see a map that you like, but want to see some lines moved, we can do that for you.
Okay. Any other commissioners that have thoughts on this? Commissioner Mateusz?
To me, if there's no added cost, let's take a look at them and get a little public comment, and then we'll see which way we want to go.
Commissioner Zimke?
Yeah, I think I agree.
Commissioner Ryring?
That sounds fine.
Okay. So do we need to make a motion for that, or should we is it just it's direction for the future agenda to do a draft map, including the current lines, and then we'll have the public hearing in January.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You're not Kimmy, but thank you.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thanks. So let's go to item 11 now, which is the San Mateo County Multi-Jurisdictional Local Mitigation Plan. I know that Jim and Lizzie Zarowski have worked on this, but I also see that unless he's not here anymore. Oh, yes, Chief Belleville is here. Welcome, Chief Belleville. And Ann Ludwig, thank you for being here today. Jim, would you like to kick off this item, you and Lizzie?
Yes, I would. And, again, Lizzie's done most of the heavy lifting on this, so I appreciate all her work in working with the County of San Mateo. Again, as the president of the board indicated, this item concerns a multi-jurisdictional local hazard mitigation plan, and I am presenting this report on behalf of the Harbor District Local Hazard Mitigation Plan Ad Hoc Committee, which met on November 30th, 2021. Before I brief the ad hoc report, I would like to introduce Dan Bellevue, Director of the San Mateo County Office of Emergency Management, and Ann Ludwig, Project Manager for the Multi-Jurisdictional Local Hazard Mitigation Plan, the County of San Mateo Department of Emergency Management. Ann will be making a presentation on the Multi-Jurisdictional Local Hazard Mitigation Plan. And at this time, Ann, I would like to give the floor to you and share your screen.
Can you hear me, sir?
Loud and clear, and your slideshow is up.
Yeah, and before you get started, Chief, I apologize. I didn't realize y'all were both going to be here. So otherwise I would have moved y'all up further, so closer to the front, but thank you for being here.
That's all right. Madam President, thank you very much for allowing Ann and I to present. Hello to you and to your fellow honorable commissioners. It's a pleasure to be with you. Jim, thank you for that introduction. You did half of my work already, so thank you for that. I am Dan Belleville. I do work directly for the county manager in the Department of Emergency Management. Some of you may remember the old OES, Office of Emergency Services. We kind of rebranded in the last year. I report directly to the county manager in the Department of Emergency Management, and the LHMP, or the Local Hazard Mitigation Plan, falls under my responsibility. We've been working on this project for better than a year now. Ann's going to show a few slides along with myself, but Ann is the project manager. She's the go-to person. She's absolutely the right person for this. This has been an extraordinarily complicated project. Not so much in the difficulty, but the collaboration that it requires, the effort that every jurisdiction needs to put into it in order to get a return on the other end. I've been in this business for 4 decades, and it is one of the more significant projects that I've worked on in a short period of time over the last 12 months. We are very, very proud of it. If you saw it in its physical form, it's a number of different booklets that stack about 1.5 feet high over the course of the last year. It involves every city and county for the first time ever in San Mateo County collaborating as one. And it also includes a number of special districts, yours notwithstanding. So what we'd like to do, if we can, Madam President, is share a few slides, kind of cover the basics, and then open ourselves to some of the questions that you may have and give you a better understanding of it. As I said, Ann is the project manager, but we've included a number of different folks from throughout the county and the Office of Sustainability, Public Works, Parks, the CMO's office, my office, and we worked through a company called Tetra Tech. Tetra Tech has been hired to manage the LHMP. They specialize in this, and so they were awarded the contract, but we actually steer it with their help and their guidance. So we may refer to Tetra Tech, myself, the CMO, the county manager's office, or Ann. The 2 paragraphs in its simplest form there on the slide that you're seeing is really what it does is every 5 years we have to put a plan together. And these have become far more complex than they were many, many years ago. I described to folks that I've spoken with that it used to take us a couple of hours to put it together. Now it takes many months. And really what we do is every jurisdiction in the county, including the special districts, identify their hazard vulnerabilities. So there are a lot of them in the county. There's risk of sea level rise on the coast with regard to sea level rise. On the bay side, there's an interest in terms of what buildings and roads may be impacted by the bay rising. We all are very concerned about, the fire risk. Earthquake, of course, has always been in the back of our minds. So we identify the risks in our particular jurisdictions or our districts, whatever they may be. We assemble those, and then we send them off to Cal OES and FEMA so that we can prepare ourselves for funding in order to address those incidents. And what FEMA has done in recent years is shift the money from after the incident to before. So that's one of the things I've seen in my career is they're putting money up front. The wonderful thing about this project, if you approve it, is that we think we'll be in a better position than we've ever been in the history of the county because we've all come together under one umbrella, identifying our risks. And FEMA likes that. FEMA thinks that's a good thing. So Tetra Tech, the contractor that we've used, even mentioned, one of the folks that's been there for 25 years, that it's one of the better plans that they've ever seen and that we should put ourselves in a significant position for some funding of the risks that we identify. So we identify the risks in that first paragraph, and then the second part of it there is it makes us eligible for that funding and that assistance. So that's really the whole sort of nutshell of this hazard mitigation plan. So I'm already talking too much, so I'm going to pass it to my partner, Ann. Are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Well, as Dan mentioned, it was very much a collaborative effort of a number of different jurisdictions, all of the cities in the county and many of the special districts, such as the Harbor District But the other group that we included, and we really made a point of doing some very active outreach, which of course COVID made a little bit more challenging, but we included our hard to reach community. So the intention was to work with we worked with 8 different community-based organizations so that we could reach out to people to both educate them about what hazard mitigation planning was, but also so that we could get their input about what they felt they needed to help us help them be better prepared in emergencies. Dan briefly mentioned that we did have many successes in this plan, and we previously had a 2016 plan. The plans have to be updated every 5 years. So we wanted to do just a really quick comparison. In 2021, we added 7 additional partners. In 2021, we had all of the cities and towns in the county now participate in this plan. Previously, 2 cities had been independent. In 2021, we received over 2,000 survey responses. And in 2016, we really only received about 200. So with the help of our community-based partners and the cities and the districts, we really were able to reach a lot more of our community partners. Also in 2021, we have over 700 actions that we are in the next 5 years going to be working on implementing. In 2016, we had about 500. So things have changed. Things have changed in our environment. Things have changed in our community, and our plan, I think, reflects that. This is a list of all of our planning partners. On the left, you see all the cities, the town and the county. On the right, you see the special districts. And we do have a wide array of districts, which is also really nice. We have the Office of Education and the community college system. We have a number of water districts and sanitary districts, fire districts, our sea level rise and resiliency district, and our harbor district. So we welcome you aboard. And this, just to finish, just to give you a sense of what went into the development of this plan and how we went about it. In the beginning, in February, we started identifying our prospective partners. And then from March through July, we, working with Tetra Tech and all of the partners, we started developing the plan. And for some people, that meant updating information from the 2016 plan, but for others, it meant starting from the beginning. So Lizzie and the Harbor District staff, they were starting from the beginning. At the same time, we were working with our outreach and engagement team. So we developed our plan and we launched our website in February. And then in March through July, we did a series of media releases. We did 2 surveys. We did a number of public workshops, and our community-based organization partners did a lot of outreach to at their meetings that supplemented and enhanced our efforts. In August, we completed the draft plan and we published it for public comment. We also held a workshop that talked about the draft plan. And then in September, we submitted it, well, at the very end of August, we submitted it to Cal OES and FEMA for their review. We received review comments back from them, and we received a preliminary approval, an approval pending adoption, which is the action you're taking now. We received that in the late part of October. We went to the County Board of Supervisors on November 16th, and they adopted the plan as well as our unincorporated annex plan. Right now in November and December, all of our partners, including the Harbor District, are approaching their boards and asking for similar adoptions. To date, we have 16 of our partners who have both adopted the plan and who FEMA has issued their final approval letter for. We hope that very soon the Harbor District will be one of them. And with that, we'll finish our presentation and would be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, Ann. Thank you, thank you. I think this is a very important agenda item, and we appreciate your allowing us to, the board, to have more time to go over this. Jim, you had mentioned that the ad hoc committee had a meeting, and so I didn't know if the ad hoc committee members, I think it was Commissioners Mateusz and Zimke who were on the ad hoc committee, if they had anything they wanted to add to the reports that the chief and Ann gave to us today?
I'll present the ad hoc committee's report.
Okay,
and then,
thank you.
Refer back to the ad hoc committee for closing comments, if that's okay.
Please.
Excuse me. Thank you, both Ann and Dan. Presentation was fantastic. I appreciate you taking time out of your day for this. With respect to the ad hoc committee, a little background. On November 17th, staff presented resolution 2118 to the board, which if adopted would have approved the 2021 San Mateo County multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan, updates to the county's previous plan. After discussion, the board elected to refer the matter to the ad hoc committee for further development on the topic and bring it back before the board today. On the November 30th ad hoc committee, on November 30th, the ad hoc committee met and reviewed the plan and recommended several changes to section 32 of volume 2, which is specific to the San Mateo County Harbor District. Those changes have been forwarded to the County of San Mateo and have been approved pending board approval this afternoon. These changes are attached to the committee report and posted on our website. The ad hoc committee also recommended adding the following projects and initiatives to the resolution, all of which address an issue in the mitigation plan. The first was the installation of a stormwater capturing system that will not only provide water in the time of drought for the Harbor District, but assist the Harbor District in addressing bacterial contamination of the beaches in Pillar Point Harbor. They also recommended the installation of renewable energy sources such as solar at Pillar Point Harbor to reduce the demand on the regional power grid and ensure continued operations during power outages. The installation of electric vehicle charging stations at Pillar Point Harbor to encourage electric vehicle use and also reduce greenhouse gases. And finally, the replacement of gas-powered vehicles and harbor equipment with electric vehicles and equipment, which will reduce greenhouse gas and emissions from the Harbor District. The draft resolution being presented to the board for approval tonight is Resolution 2118, a resolution of the San Mateo County Harbor District authorizing the adoption of the San Mateo County multi-jurisdictional local hazard mitigation plan. Whereas the San Mateo County has exposure to natural hazards that increase the risks to life, property, environment, and economy, and whereas proactive mitigation of known hazards before the disaster event can reduce or eliminate long-term risks to life and property, and whereas the Disaster Mitigation Plan Act of 20,000 established 2 new requirements for pre and post-disaster hazard mitigation programs, and whereas a coalition of San Mateo County stakeholders with like planning objectives has been formed to pool resources and create consistent mitigation strategies to be implemented within each partner's identified capabilities within San Mateo County planning area, and whereas the coalition has completed a planning process that engages the public, assesses the risk and vulnerabilities to the impacts of natural hazards, develops mitigation strategy consistent with a set of uniform goals and objectives, and creates a plan for implementing, evaluating, and revising the strategy. Now that is now therefore be resolved is that the San Mateo County Harbor District adopts Volume 1 and Volume 2 of the San Mateo County Harbor Annex of the San Mateo County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Plan. Will use the adopted and approved portions of the local hazard plan to guide pre and post disaster mitigation of the hazard identified. Will coordinate strategies identified in the local hazard mitigation plan with other planning programs and mechanisms mechanisms under the jurisdictional authority. We'll continue to support ongoing countywide mitigation efforts and continue to participate in planning partnerships as described in the local hazard mitigation plan, and will help to promote and support mitigation successes of all planning partners. And further, the San Mateo County Harbor District shall pursue the installation of stormwater capturing system that will not only provide water at a time of drought, but assist the Harbor District in addressing bacterial contamination of the beaches of Pillar Point Harbor, the installation of renewable energy sources at Pillar Point Harbor to reduce the demand on the regional power grid and ensure continued operations during power outages, the installation of electric vehicle charging stations at Pillar Point Harbor, encouraging electric vehicle use, reducing greenhouse gas, and the replacement of gas-powered vehicles and harbor equipment with electric vehicles and equipment, which will reduce greenhouse gas emissions from the harbor equipment. The recommended motion for item 11 is approve resolution 2118 to adopt the San Mateo County multi-jurisdictional local hazard mitigation plan as planning partner in coordination with other local jurisdictions, including municipalities and special districts. That's the end of my report. Pending any questions, and now I turn the floor over to the ad hoc committee members.
Commissioner Zemke or Commissioner Matoush, any comments?
Thanks to Jim for that excellent summary of the committee, and I do appreciate the opportunity to be on the ad hoc committee and learn more about this this program. And I do fully support the resolution and the conclusions we came up with.
Commissioner Matoush.
I mirror the comments of Commissioner Zemke.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Commissioner Lorenas.
Oh, I'm in full support of this. You guys have done a great job with this, and I'm happy to see it moving.
Okay, Commissioner Ryring, you have your hand up.
Yeah, with many thanks to everyone who's worked on the county multi-jurisdictional local hazard mitigation plan, and thanks to our subcommittee members, Commissioner Matoush and Commissioner Zemke, I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution 2118 to adopt the San Mateo County multi-jurisdictional local hazard mitigation plan as a planning partner in coordination with other local jurisdictions, including municipalities and special districts.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. I see that there is a hand raised for public comments. I'll take public comment now for S.
Hi, this is Sabrina Brennan, and I just wanted to take this opportunity because it seems appropriate to suggest that the district, if you're not already doing so, transition to all electric vehicles and to ensure that there are adequate charging stations. There's a real deficit of charging stations on the coast side, and it's really urgent that there be more charging stations available to the public. So hopefully these two things are already in motion. If not, please ramp up and make sure that any new vehicles you purchase are electric and that you are installing charging stations. Thank you.
Bob Berry. Melanie, I think he's making a public comment and has his hand up.
Apologies, President Chinkarelli.
Thank you, Lizzie.
Of course. I actually don't see Bob's hand up, but I'll go ahead and allow him to talk.
I saw his hand up, but if you don't wish to make a comment, Mr. Berry, that's fine too. I just thought I saw your hand up.
I just got an unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Hi. I had so much trouble getting on this call earlier. I'm on someone else's device, so I'm hoping to be able to last till we get to item 10. But I'm a fisherman down there in the harbor. I have 3 different boats down there, and the harbor's running low on funds, and they just raised our fees significantly and seem to be spending an awful lot of money. And we have pretty new vehicles down at the harbor. So to replace them with electric and to put in charging stations. And right now the jury's still out on whether or not this is even better for the environment by the time you calculate the cost of the batteries and when the batteries go bad, what do you do with them? And I just wish that we'd take that into consideration as well and try spending less money. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you. So there is a motion and a second on the table. If there are no more comments by the commissioners or the public, I will do a roll call.
Before the roll call, President Carali, I just want to make one comment about I want to thank Ann Ludwig. She has been brilliant to work with in helping us out with getting this plan going, because we did start from scratch, and then Lizzie's work on starting from scratch, it was a huge workload and lift to get it done. But Ann was there every time we had a question and was happy to work with us. So I just want to say on behalf of the staff of the San Mateo County Harbor District, thank you for helping us out with that.
I concur with that. So thank you, Chief. Thank you, Ann. And again, thank you for your patience and in letting us carry this out for another month. But I think the Harbor Board, I think, has learned a lot more than what we got in November. So I think that's really great. And thank you so much, Lizzie and Jim and the ad hoc committee as well. So without further ado, let's do a roll call, please, Melanie.
Commissioner Ryring?
Aye.
Commissioner Mateusz?
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke?
Aye.
Mr. Lorenz?
Aye.
Commissioner Chencarelli?
Aye. So that motion carries. Thank you again, everybody, for all the work on this. And Dan, I know that this was a huge project, and it's a huge accomplishment for your department in the county. And I know you've been there every step of the way. So thank you.
Through the
You're
chair,
on mute, Chief.
what time is our meeting supposed to end?
4:30, right?
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Great.
so we'll move on to item number 10, which is let me pull this up.
President Crowley, our agenda says the meeting is from 1 to 4.
Oh my gosh, then is there a motion to extend the meeting to 4:30?
I will so move.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Mateusz?
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke?
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz?
Aye.
Commissioner Chencarelli?
Aye.
Mr. Ryring?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jim, for that reminder. For some reason, I thought it was 4:30. Okay, let's go to item 10, which is commercial activity permits and associated issues with wholesale fish offloads. Jim.
And good afternoon again. On August 15th, 2021, staff provided a staff report to the board that detailed and outlined 4 issues that are related to the wholesale offload of seafood at Pillar Point Harbor. Those issues were visiting fishing vessels which do not pay berthing fees to the Harbor District conducting commercial offloads of seafood without a Harbor District commercial activity permit as required by San Mateo County ordinances. Issue 2, non-tenant wholesale buyers conducting business, purchasing seafood directly from fishing vessels at Pillar Point Harbor without a valid Harbor District commercial activity permit as required by district ordinances. The use of the floating docks by third-party commercial fish buyers to purchase and offload seafood, and the use of the public hoist located west of the Harbor Master's office for commercial offloads to third-party fish buyers. Following the presentation, the Harbor Board directed staff to host a public meeting to gain public input on the 4 issues and return to the Harbor Board with a recommendation as to each issue. On September 30th, 2021, a special meeting of the Board of Harbor Commissioners was hosted a public workshop. The workshop was well attended and multiple members of the public provided comments. The comments were considered in editing the August staff report. The edited staff report was forwarded to the district's email list for comment. The staff report dated December 15th, 2021, which is included in your board packages and posted to the district's website, takes into consideration additional comments based on the draft document. Staff's recommendation with respect to the 4 issues is as follows. With respect to the issue of visiting fishing vessels which do not pay a berthing fee to the Harbor District conducting commercial offloads of seafood without a Harbor District commercial activity permit as required by District Ordinance Code 5.10.010.c, staff recommends the board approve the following draft motion. The general manager is directed to comply with District Ordinance 5.10.10.010, and require visiting fishing vessels without a berth agreement to obtain a commercial activity permit prior to conducting an offload. The cost of the permit is $250 and valid from January 1st through December 31st each year. This permit may be issued by the account technician at Pillar Point Harbor. With respect to non-tenant wholesale fish buyers conducting business purchasing seafood directly from a fishing vessel at Pillar Point Harbor without a valid district commercial activity permit as required by Ordinance 5.10.010.f.3, staff recommends the following draft motion. Effective January 1st, 2022, the San Mateo and Harmony District will no longer issue commercial activity permits to non-leasing commercial fish buyers. And further, with respect to that, we know this activity is taking place, but we have not issued a cap to one of those non-tenant lessees to purchase fish at Pillar Point Harbor. The third issue with respect to the use of the floating docks by third-party commercial fish buyers to purchase and offload seafood, staff recommends the following draft motion. Commercial fishers are authorized to offload their catch from the floating docks to themselves for transport off of Pillar Point Harbor. No wholesale or commercial offload direct to third-party non-tenant wholesalers will be allowed in Pillar Point Harbor after December 31st, 2021. With respect to the use of public hoists located west of the Harbor Master's office for commercial offloads to third-party fish buyers, staff recommends the following motion, or is providing the following motions. The public hoist located in Pillar Point Harbor is limited to equipment and supplies, and no commercial offload of seafood products will be allowed after December 31st, 2021. Or in the alternative, the public hoist is limited to self-loading, unloading of supplies and equipment to include catch to the fisher's own trucks or equipment for transport off of Pillar Point Harbor. No unloading of seafood to third-party buyers will be allowed after December 31st, 2021. That's the end of my report, pending any questions.
Any questions or comments, commissioners? I'd like to open this up for discussion. So, Jim, I just have a quick question just to make sure I understand. There are basically four potential motions that you need resolutions for either way, correct?
Yes, there's four motions to resolve four issues.
Okay.
One motion has an alternate.
Yes, that's correct. So I'm going to open this. One of the reasons I made this the last item was just in case we had public comment. And so I would like to open this up to public comment now. And I see a hand raised for the phone number that ends in 9711.
And as we allow 9711 to come in the chat, Dawn Korth is stating she gives her 2 minutes to Todd Korth.
Well, she needs to be recognized by the chair.
Okay, she needs to call in. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Can I start my 2 minutes?
Start it, Todd. Go ahead.
Make this fast. This is a formal request to suspend the vote on this to analyze the financial impact to each commercial fisherman in the harbor. I don't think that has been done. In 2021, myself and others were denied service by all three lessees on the pier. That is illegal. I would request that Jim distribute the two cases of case laws that I mentioned before, U.S. Department of Justice versus the Del Norte Fishermen's Association and the Dooley versus Half Moon Bay Seafood Marketing Association, which outlines illegal activity. The fact of the matter is that two of the three lessees on the pier are they're really not wholesale buyers. and only Larry at Three Captains is really a wholesale buyer. The others are pass-through hoists, and all three of these motions, or four of these motions in Section 10 here, are limiting competition. And I'd like to ask, why is the commission adopting all of these plans in place, putting these plans in place that are limiting competition? They're anti-competitive. And I would really love to hear some discussion as to why all these anti-competitive policies are being adopted. And that's it, under 2 minutes.
Thank you. Any other public comments? I'm not going to close it right away, but I would like to hear. Okay, so I'm going to keep public comment open. Bob Berry.
Hello. Did I get through?
Hear you? Yep.
Yep.
I agree with Todd. And I wanted to say that there's other small buyers in the harbor that are willing to buy the permits that you guys, for whatever reason, are not going to even offer them. And I was part of it last year when the buyers on the end of the dock did not want to buy crab. And also they didn't want to unload to other buyers that were willing to pay them the offload fee. It wasn't worth their time, is what they said. So if we're in that situation, you're basically limiting us to offloading the stuff into our truck, driving it off site, getting some other way of offloading it into someone else's truck. And I don't know why you're making us work as hard as you are to try to make a living. You seem to be cutting our legs off at every turn. We're already, with this COVID situation, we're businesses that have been impacted pretty hardly by this, and the seasons are getting shortened, and it's pretty sad to try and make a living now at the harbor. It used to be a great place to have a business, and everything we want to do now, we can't do, it seems like. And I just wish you'd reconsider. There's no reason to limit us and make us basically subservient to the three buyers at the end of the pier. If they want to buy our product, if they want to buy it at a lower price, then we're stuck with that. And if there's other buyers that are allowed in the harbor, then we have a competition issue that will help keep the price up where it should be. Thank you.
Porter McHenry.
Hi, good afternoon. I have some comment. Would you like comment on all four issues, or are we going to go through them one at a time?
Either way is fine. I was hoping that we could kind of get them all done, but I'm going to keep public comment open. And I'll give you a little extra time since I'm responding to you. So please.
All right. I'd like to comment on number one. It's about the permit for each vessel. I'm aware that the ordinance requires that. I think it's outdated. I'm not sure when it was written, but things have changed. Now, every pound that's offloaded, the district receives a poundage fee. I've also fished out of most of the ports up and down California, at least. And I've talking to people. I have not heard of this situation in any other fishing port that I know of. So I think it's kind of unfriendly to come across. I think it's going to be hard to figure out. And lately I've had boats that have asked for slips and they're unable to even get slips in the harbor. So it's just kind of unfair to ask a vessel they have to buy a slip to avoid a permit fee and then not allow them a slip. Also, when a boat comes and offloads, they usually buy ice, grocery, fuel. They stay in for a little bit, they'll tie up and go eat at the restaurants. So there's these vessels bring money. My thoughts on that is maybe they could just get rid of the berthing requirement fee by the choice. My other is the public hoist. I think the public hoist is great. Lets people get on and off the pier. Lately, I've been, put through the ringer trying to, as a tenant at the end of the dock, to operate in a safe manner, working with the district. I've been through litigation, been through it all, just to operate safely out there. I think it's unwise for the harbor to allow, any commercial offloads in the middle of a public parking lot. I believe, if the harbor would like to allow it, they should require whoever would like to do it to go apply for a full commercial activities permit. That way, everything could be worked out beforehand. That's my thoughts on that. I would just I think that's it for now.
Thank you. Okay, why don't we, Jim, what's the easiest for you? I could take all of these separately. I mean, there are going to be 4 separate motions, so I'm happy to take discussion for each motion. So why don't we open it up to the item, basically your report, and look at motion number 1, which is to direct the general manager to comply with District Ordinance Code 5.10.10 and require visiting fishing vessels without a berth agreement to obtain a commercial activity permit prior to conducting an offload. The cost of the permit is $250 and valid from January 1st through December 31st each year. This permit may be issued by the account technician at Pillar Point Harbor. So, is there a motion to, we'll discuss this, but want to kick off the discussion. Is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay. Any questions by commissioners or from commissioners? So go on, Commissioner Zemke.
Yeah, just one question. I know this has been on the books and has not been enforced. Does anybody know why it was put on the books in the first place, or any history to that?
I don't have any history on why it was put on the books or why it's still there.
It just seems to me if it's on the books, we should be using it.
The ordinance is just can be changed, Commissioner Zemke. So if the board desires to change that ordinance to remove the requirement, they do have that option also.
Commissioner Lorenas?
I don't have a comment at the moment.
Okay. Commissioner Ryering? And it's okay if you don't. I actually have a comment or a question at least. Commissioner Mateusz, I don't know where Tom is. There you are.
I'm up. Still here.
I do have a question. I think this issue was brought up before, at least, and I think if I remember correctly from a public comment, I know that we had talked about it or I'd read about it or something. Anyway, so Jim, for fishing vessels that are doing business with one of our tenants, for example, do they need to have this commercial activity permit of $250? I mean, if they're literally just bringing fish to our current tenants who could be the fish buyers or someone else. I don't know. I mean, it just seems like if this is an indirect or a direct or a fee for business partners with our tenants, that just it's almost like an additional amount of money put on them just to do business, not even to do business, just to bring things to our current tenants.
You're correct. And with Porter's comment with respect to the vessels come in and pay an offloading fee, so they would both have a cap and an offloading fee imposed on them. And again, staff's recommendation is to follow the ordinance, because that's what the ordinance says. If we want to remove that requirement in the ordinance and not deal with the caps for vessels offloading at Pillar Point, that is also a viable option. And I also concur with Porter's comment that San Mateo County Harbor District would be an outlier from the other fishing ports in requiring this fee.
So you're saying we could change the ordinance not to require this fee if they're doing business with our tenants. Is that correct?
You can not act on this at all and direct me to come back with an ordinance change.
Well, I would feel comfortable with that just to understand how that would look. but I don't know what my fellow commissioners think.
I agree.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Okay, Commissioners Mateusz and Zimke?
I concur as well.
Thank you.
Commissioner Zimke, you're on mute.
Hold your space.
Thank you. I don't necessarily disagree with that. Is there any economic considerations to be made on this? I guess if we charge for it, we get some revenue. If we take it off the books, we don't get that revenue. Is that an issue here?
I think we weren't charging anyway.
Well, I mean, I think it's more, for me, it's more of a penalization of the current tenants. That's just another transaction cost for our current tenants doing business with others, and they're not going to be parked here. It's just anyway. I mean, maybe the general manager can encompass that your comment, Commissioner Zimke, into a future. I'm assuming, Jim, it's going to be a staff report on this particular item, or
yes,
what? How do you envision this?
It'll be an independent staff report on item 1.
Okay, well, if you wouldn't mind taking into consideration Commissioner Zimke's concerns and addressing that in the staff report.
Noted.
Okay, does that work for you, Commissioner Zimke?
Oh, yes, it does.
Okay. Okay, then, so I think do we need to vote on that? I mean, we're not going to be voting on this motion. I guess the direction is to take a look at this with the concerns that we just outlined for you, Jim.
Understood.
Then let's go to the second motion, which is effective January 1st, 2022, the San Mateo County Harbor District will no longer issue commercial activity permits to non-lessee commercial buyers. Any comments on that or thoughts, commissioners? Commissioner Mateusz?
I guess I'd like more of a firm example. Is that the one that we don't have anybody that falls into that now?
It's happening now, and it's been happening for a while based on comments I've received that non-tenant fish buyers come in, commercial fish buyers, and deal with individual fishermen and buy the fish off the boat directly. I've witnessed the activity taking place. And those commercial buyers do not have a commercial activity permit to do business in the harbor as required.
Well, then I would be against that. They should have permits.
So you're in favor of this motion?
Yes, I'm very in favor of it.
Okay.
The motion itself, to be clear, prevents them from even applying and us issuing a cap. So if the board wishes to allow this activity, I again recommend taking no action on this motion and give me direction on how to come back to the board.
Right, but this is for non-lessee
commercial buyers.
Commercial fish buyers, right?
From other places coming up and buying food in the harbor or buying seafood in the harbor. It could include a restaurant or a store who is purchasing seafood directly from the fishers and reselling it in their commercial establishments.
Right, but this actually helps, well, theoretically helps our lessees, or at least supports them. That's how I'm reading it in the inverse.
It may have a positive effect of our lessees at the end of the pier by forcing everybody who wants to buy seafood to buy it commercially, to buy it through the 3 lessees at the end of the pier. If we allow for it, then we can allow other fish buyers, commercial fish buyers, to come in, but require them to have a commercial activity permit to do so.
Okay. Any other comments, Commissioner Lorenas? I don't know if I'm looking at you. You're not muted either. So if you have a comment, this would be the time. Or Commissioner Zimke, y'all are both unmuted.
Well, I guess my kind of initial thought on this, if we do want to kind of change course and allow this kind of activity, I can see it's going to be a bit of work to come up with the policies and procedures that we think this kind of activity can be conducted under. Jim, do you have any idea of what it would take to come up with a set of policies and procedures that would allow this?
I'd work with staff on the procedures, but the policy itself would be fairly simple.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess another question is, do you think there's a way to make this work? I know that we've got kind of space limitations at on Johnson Pier and in the harbor, that this would be something that we could do. Could we allow it?
One of the significant issues related to third-party buyers was the fact that they would drive up and park their vehicles on the pier for extended periods of time, waiting for the fishing vessel to arrive. And then they would have to then offload and then onto the pier, and then they would wheel it or hand truck it up to their van and do the weighing there. So it's very congested during busy seasons when no storm really happens. So, but we can restrict the parking now, and we're doing a very good job of that, keeping the pier open. And they would have to do it other than right there on the pier, possibly, if the pier is busy. And there, we could manage that.
Okay.
I just worry about the safety of all of that, Jim, because I mean, I agree with Bill. It's pretty small. I mean, the space is limited.
I don't disagree. The space is limited, but with the Johnson Pier safety plan, it's been pretty effective in keeping Johnson Pier clear. And these buyers would fall under the safety plan just like everybody else.
Okay, Commissioner Lorenas?
I definitely think that if we're going to consider allowing this, we need to make sure that they get the permit. I'd like to see what this would look like. So if we allow them to, the external buyers, to get a permit, how we would manage it and what the impact is.
And enforce it even, right?
Well, we'd have to enforce it, of course.
Yeah, yeah,
And
I know. I mean,
that's a good point, because we need to know that we have the ability to control it and not let it get out of control.
Right.
I can come back with at another board meeting with a staff report specific to this item and address those issues.
Okay. Commissioner Ryring, any thoughts?
I'd be really pleased to see this come back at another board meeting.
Okay, then let's do that and take no action on that, if that's what the board chooses to do. But I also have public comment. I thought I saw two hands raised. Or do Bob Berry?
Well, we also have to extend the meeting.
Oh, yes. Can we? Sorry, I thought we'd have this done. Okay, by 4:30. Is there a motion to extend the meeting to what,
so moved.
4:45?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please, Melanie.
Commissioner Zemke?
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenas?
Aye.
Commissioner Chang Crawley?
Aye.
Commissioner Ryring? Aye. Commissioner Mateusz?
Aye.
So that motion carries. So public comment for this particular resolution number 2. Porter McHenry.
Yeah, I just want to make you guys aware that you were, talking about allowing this is talking about allowing, perhaps an unknown number of extra tenants with the same ability as your tenants at the end of the pier. If required, they should be, paying somewhere in the same fees. We pay a lot of rent. We've developed a safety plan to operate on the pier. We've been long-term tenants, paid the harbor, worked with the harbor. And, and if this is allowed, I think you guys should really look into a massive rent reduction for us at the end of the pier. Thank you.
Thank you. And I thought I saw Bob Berry's hand raised. Okay, I see Lisa Damrosch.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Great.
Thank you.
I just wanted to concur with Porter in terms of the safety plans, the great pains that have been gone to by the 3 fish buyers at the end of the pier to make sure that all of our equipment is certified, all of our people are certified, that we meet every requirement for safety, and have, as Porter said, the high rents, the high fees. How will the Harbor District get their fees in those situations in order to, if those offloads are happening, which we know how it works because it's happening now, just without permits. Is it $200 or whatever permit a year, an offset for those fees that are coming through your long-term tenants? Again, looking at the rent out there. And I also would just mention these items were also discussed at a public workshop. This has been, I don't know, a year of discussion. So happy for you guys to bring it back and look at it further, but I do believe it's been looked at quite a bit at this point. Thank you.
I don't see any other hands raised. So Jim, you've got direction. I think the main thing is let's bring back some alternatives. But I do agree with the public commenter, Lisa Damrosch, that we have looked at this a lot. And so I think hopefully by the next meeting, we should be able to make a decision. Let's move to number 3, which is the motion regarding the public hoist. And that is the public hoist located in Pillow Point Harbor is limited to equipment and supplies only. No commercial offload or seafood products will be allowed after December 31st, 2021. There's that motion and then the alternative. So the alternative is the public hoist is limited to self-loading / unloading of supplies and equipment to include catch to the fisher's own truck or equipment for transport off Pillow Point Harbor. No unloading of seafood to a third party will be allowed after December 31st, 2021. So why don't we take the motion first, which is to limit the use of the public hoist to equipment and supplies only. No commercial offload or seafood products will be allowed after December 31st, 2021. And I think we've discussed this before, but I'll open it up to commissioner comments. Commissioner Mateusz?
Well, I guess I get concerned, particularly after listening to Porter and Lisa. We're going to charge them to offload product, but we're not going to charge somebody to offload product by the pound at the public hoist. So I think that we've got to do something to not get in the way of our lessees at the end of the pier. So I guess it comes out to whether they unload their own, take it to their own warehouse, or are we going to find a way that they're going to, is this going to be an augmentation of where the previous motion, where we're going to license wholesale people to come in and receive product, but then we've got to be equitable on the fees with our lessees.
Commissioner Zemke?
I agree with Tom on that.
Commissioner Lorenas?
Well, I agree with Porter and Lisa on this, and the reason I wanted to see what it would look like is because I don't see how we can manage it, but I wanted to make an informed decision, and I think allowing the hoist to be used for commercial use is that particular hoist is a public hoist, and we should use it as such, not as a commercial hoist. So we've got enough trouble managing, like both of them alluded to, that went to a lot of trouble to do things safely. Why do we want to make it even harder? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, Commissioner Ryring?
Yeah, no, these are really good points.
Okay, we do have a public comment. Bob Berry?
Commissioner Corrali.
Yes.
Phone number ending in 971 would also like to comment.
I don't see a hand raised, but okay.
They're having difficulty raising their
Okay, no problem. But I see Bob Berry's hand first. So Mr. Berry?
Still Mr. muted. Berry, I've sent you a request to unmute. It should show up on your screen. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry about that. Having technical difficulties. Anyway, my concern is that as your tenant, I'm not going to be able to unload my product for my own use or to take it to cold storage and or can it. I think that if we do have other buyers doing it, that they should get the permit and pay the fees like everybody else is doing that's doing it commercially. But as a tenant, I also believe that I should be able to use the hoist and not just unload mechanical items, but also my catch. If I put my catch into my truck and take it off the site, I think that should be allowed instead of having to try to carry a ton or 2 tons of tuna up the dock. So that's what I have to say. Shoot, I don't know if I'm working or not.
You are, Bob. We got you.
We heard you. Thank you. Porter McHenry.
Yeah. Hi. I feel that, people have been able to carry their catch up the dock. If there's a high volume of catch, it probably should not be offloaded at the public hoist. That's the middle of a parking lot. There's no safety plan. It's a high volume, just got places for it. They should keep it as there. If guys, want to carry their catch up the pier, that's fine. If, they can approach one of the 3 tenants at the end of the dock if they're looking to offload, a high volume of product, and we'll do our best to work with anybody out there. That's my thoughts on the public hoist. Keep it kind of the way it has been and let the, major offloads stay at the end of the pier where it's designed for. Thank you.
Jim, you said that there's a public comment that wants to be made by the number ending in 9711.
Yes.
Okay, I'll open up that now. I don't know if he can get on. Lizzie, I don't know. Are you unmuted?
Yes, I've sent you a request to unmute and it should prompt you with a star command to enter into your phone. Jim, do you happen to know if 9711 is perhaps another profile that's also on here?
Not.
Okay.
Okay, well, I don't know if Mr. Korth can hear us, but we cannot hear you, unfortunately.
Is this Mr. Korth?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I can go ahead. I'll see if we can get Dawn.
Okay, yep, I see her there.
Dawn, I've sent you a request to unmute. If you could unmute on the. Let me troubleshoot this for a second behind the scenes, and then I'll pop in when I think I can get them to talk, because I think I have to merge the profiles.
Okay. Then while we're waiting on that, why don't we go to.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear
yes,
me now?
we can.
Okay, great.
Can you
Thank
hear
very
us?
much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, I can. Okay, so thank you for taking this comment. So there's a very easy solution for this. So again, I'm going to restate the comment that in 2021, this calendar year, I was denied service at all 3 hoists. And that activity is illegal if you go look at those cases that I mentioned. The simple solution is to allow any fisherman that wants to sell to any of these other people, those buyers have the fee paid, and then the 2.5%, have that apply to offloading up the dock. If somebody has two garbage cans full of crab or whatever, and the same thing would hold true on the hoist. That's what other harbors do. That is fair, because there are the 3 tenants at the end of the pier have a tendency to deny service. And it puts some of us out of business, like some of the other activities that have been passed recently. It is illegal. That's the end of the comment.
I'd like to make a quick comment. I concur with my fellow commissioners on this. and while I understand public comment, about the hoist use from, or being able to use the hoist at the end of the pier from the commercial fishermen or the commercial fish buyers, that is also private prop. Well, that's their choice as well. And they have to also adhere to their lease. So I don't know what has happened in the past, but I'm looking at, this particular motion, which says that there would be no commercial offload. And it sounds like that is not what some of the comments want that I've heard. So I would like to move that the public hoist located in Pillow Point Harbor is limited to equipment and supplies only. No commercial offload of seafood products will be allowed after December 31st, 2021. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Commissioner Ryan, you just unmuted. I don't know if you had anything to say.
No, I was late on the second.
Okay. Okay. If there are no other comments, roll call, please, Melanie.
Commissioner Lorenz,
Aye.
Commissioner Chang Crowley,
Aye.
Commissioner Ryring,
Aye.
Commissioner Mateusz,
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion carries. Let's go to motion number 4, which is commercial fishers are authorized to offload their catch from the floating docks to themselves for transport off Pillar Point Harbor. No wholesale/commercial offloads direct to third-party non-tenant wholesalers will be allowed in Pillar Point Harbor after December 31st, 2021.
Commissioner Crowley or President Crowley, that issue is linked very closely with issue number 2 on whether we're going to allow caps or not. So my recommendation is that I come back to the board and include that issue in the staff report.
Okay. Is that okay with the other commissioners? Yep. If they're that tied together, then let's look at different alternatives as well. And one being just keeping the status quo as well, based on what you've got today. Are y'all okay with that?
Yep.
Yes, I am.
Okay. So then the direction is, Jim, basically we've approved the motion number 3, and the other 3 will come back in January for another review in your staff report.
I will do my best to get it to you by January.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Item 15 is, let me just put, is the consideration of a merit bonus for general manager, Jim Pruitt. So we had our special meeting in our closed session, and I think that we probably need to come back to this because we haven't had a chance to fully discuss this under, different scenarios. But I wanted to report out that I did appoint for the negotiating team, as the negotiating team, Commissioners Ryring and myself to be the negotiators to interact with the general manager, since we're both the president and the vice president of the Harbor Board, and that was unanimously approved. So I would like to kind of hold off on 15 right now, Jim, and so we have a better understanding of what it is that we're approving. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, and we can, you and Commissioner Ryring and I can schedule a meeting to deal with the negotiations. I know that we have to do the final approval in a regular meeting. And would it be too late to bring that back in January?
That would be up to the negotiators more than anything else.
Well, why don't we schedule a meeting with you, Nancy, and me, and then we'll bring this back for approval in January with a special session or a closed session so that we can inform the rest of the commissioners.
I'll set up the agendas as directed.
Thank you. Does that work for everyone else based on our short meeting on this topic?
Yep.
I think so.
You don't think so, or you think so?
No, I think so. It's just been a long meeting, that's all.
I know. Okay, Commissioner Mateusz?
Through the chair, I believe that we might have to extend the meeting again because Commissioner Lorenas had requested follow-up by the Director of Operations on an issue, and I'm not sure if we can complete that in 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Yeah, no, we will, but I just want to dispense with this item. If all the board members are okay with that, then I'll work with Commissioner Reiering and schedule this meeting with the general manager as soon as possible, hopefully in the next week.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Within the week. Okay, so that concludes the regular item, or well, the discussion items. And now Commissioner Lorenas pulled off the monthly capital projects update. So Commissioner Lorenas, was there a particular part of that report from Mr. Moran that you would like him to focus on? Yeah, I think you mentioned the highlighted section, which was the item from
was the highlighted sections.
Yeah. Yes, there were a few of them.
I'm not sure we can do that in 3 minutes.
Yeah, so let's extend it to the meeting for another 15 minutes. Is there a motion to extend the meeting to 5 p.m.?
So
I will so move.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Chankrali?
Aye.
Mr. Reiring?
Aye.
Mr. Mateusz?
Aye.
Mr. Zemke?
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenas?
Aye.
That motion carries. So Commissioner Lorenas, do you want to just kick off, what you want to hear? I mean, or would you rather have Mr. Moran just touch on the highlighted areas?
I think just have John do the highlighted areas.
Okay.
The reason for this, I might as well just say, is that even though we don't have a lot of members left in the public, it's important for me to have this out because it is the last meeting of the year.
Okay, perfect. John, why don't you just focus really quickly on the highlighted areas? There are 1, 2, 3, 4 highlighted areas. Actually, 5.
Can I give a kind of a year-end summary on our major capital improvement project progress?
Yep.
On October 20th, 21st, the board approved adding the design engineering for replacement of the docks D, E, F, and G to the Johnson Pier reconfiguration and fuel dock replacement project. Moffett Nickel is preparing a change order to reflect the addition. Moffett Nickel are continuing to work on design engineering and are working to schedule a bathymetric survey of the inner harbor so the need for an associated dredge episode can be evaluated. And then that's where we are with that project at present. And then the West Trail Shoreline Protection Project, Living Shoreline Project, the winning project construction contractor has been issued a full notice to proceed. A planned construction kickoff meeting will occur next Monday. Weather permitting, we anticipate the initial equipment staging to begin next Tuesday. Signage is being prepared now, and the notice of West Trail parking lot closures has begun on our website, social media, and public outreach. Our consultant, Brad Damitz, is reaching out to surf riders, MCC, and all the surfing entities to let everybody know that we can, that the West Trail parking lot is going to be challenged during the entire construction of the Living Shoreline project, but we're going to continue to ensure that that pedestrian access all the way out to Mavericks Beach is maintained. The RV park, restroom, ADA parking, coastal trail realignment, and green space project design plans were submitted to the City of Half Moon Bay planning for permitting approval. We're responding to multiple further questions now. Our general manager and the City of Half Moon Bay team have assisted in moving the permitting along. We hope to solicit bids for construction through the invitation for bid process very soon. In addition to the 298,000 PCA grant that was already approved. The Coastal Conservancy approved grant award for $212,000 has also been approved. This project does include, we've talked multiple times about the importance of electrical vehicle charging stations. This project does include 2 of them. And Surfers Beach Sand Replenishment Project, we are still shooting for late summer, spring, summer 22 to begin a phased approach to the first eelgrass dredging and filling, followed by the Surfers Beach dredging and beach replenishment and transplanting of eelgrass several weeks after the mitigation site is constructed. This will all begin after getting all permitting approvals, which we continue to work on, and the funding getting squared away, in addition to then soliciting the construction bids through the invitation for bid process. The public ADA restroom within or adjacent to Catch Joanne Restaurant. The district consultant has been working hard on getting the final plans that were submitted to the county approved. We've responded to multiple review questions. And again, the district general manager has spoken with county planning to help expedite this, we believe successfully. And we believe approval is forthcoming, and we believe all the hurdles now have been overcome. We hope to solicit bids for actual construction through the invitation for bid process very soon. Then the Oyster Point East Dock Replacement Project, dredge need areas have been identified after conducting a bathymetric bottom survey. District consultant is working on design engineering for replacements of docks 12, 13, and 14, and their dredge permitting team is working on all the dredge aspects as well, in addition to working on design engineering for the dock landings of docks 1 through 6 at Oyster Point as well. I think that's pretty much we also have a navigation aid replacement project that we've already done all the design engineering for. We've got all the permitting necessary, and the invitation for bid has already been completed. So the contractor that was brought on board will be issued a notice to proceed in June of 22 because of the environmental work window. We had to delay actual construction. And that's it.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. There's a lot to list for the last of the year, and a lot of good things happening. So thanks again.
Thank you, John. Thank you. And now we are into commissioner comments. I just have one quick commissioner comment, if you don't mind. I just want to thank Chris Tibby, John Moore, and Jim Pruitt and the Harbor Patrol staff for doing a great job in representing or putting together our float for the Night of Lights parade, which was fantastic. It was so much fun. And many thanks to the Chamber of Commerce and Chris Lungeit for putting that whole event together. Commissioners Zimke, Mateusz, and I were able to participate in that, and we just had a great time. So thank you. And I think that staff's also excited about doing this next year. And so we can't wait to have a better float. I don't know how it can get better, but Chris Tibby says that it can be, and so we'll see. Any other quick commissioner comments?
Now you covered the parade.
Commissioner Zimke?
Oh, yeah, no, I'll just echo your comments. It was a good parade. I was really impressed with the turnout. Everybody in Half Moon Bay must have been there. It was well attended, and I think a great opportunity for us to get some exposure.
Okay. I see a public comment hand raised, but honestly, there really is no other there is no other part of the agenda for public comment at this time. So I
Perhaps you need a motion to adjourn.
okay.
Okay. And I'd like to wish everyone happy holidays.
Yes.
Me too. Happy holidays. So wait. So Nancy moved. Who seconded the motion? Anyone seconded the motion?
I thought, well,
Adjournment?
Yeah. Nancy moved. Are you seconding the motion, Commissioner Matoush?
yes.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Ryring,
Aye.
Commissioner Matoush,
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz,
Aye.
Commissioner Chan Crowley.
Aye. So the meeting is adjourned at 4:52. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Happy holidays to everybody.
Do we have to go back to our special meeting now?
Actually, you know what? That's a good question because we didn't adjourn. We continued it. So item 15, y'all just gave permission for us to have our for Nancy, Jim, and I to negotiate that based, just to get clarity. But you know what? Why don't we take a few minutes and go back to that just to clarify? So let's go back. Melanie, can we just go back into closed session really quickly?
So I'll send everybody a new
Well,
link.
can we use the first link or what's the best way to do it?
The first link is gone. I can create a new link really quickly.
Okay.
And hold on, don't move, and then I'll put the link in the chat. I think this will work. Let me stop the recording.
Recording stopped.
5 o'clock.